So I'm just gonna talk here before I start, because this is gonna go up on YouTube as well. But this is commentary over my PB that I got earlier today. It was a 241.43. Is that right? Yeah, 241.43. I thought I had it wrong for a second. And I'm also going to be using this for marathon submissions, and it'll also, like my previous PBs, I'm going to try and do commentary over the same way, explain what I'm doing, why I do certain things, why I don't do certain things. So hopefully this will be a good resource for new runners as well, or anybody who's looking to improve their time. Okay, if it does freeze at any point in the run, or like if I drop frames or whatever, I'm just gonna edit the gameplay over top of this in Vegas, so when it goes up on YouTube at least, it'll look how it should, in case it does end up breaking on stream like it did last time. But this is Astral Shane. First thing of note, don't do what I just did and pick the female character. It's faster to play as the male character, because in this game you play as a police officer who has a twin, and your twin is the opposite gender of who you are. So by picking female here, my twin Akira is now male, and it's actually faster to play as the male character because in certain sections of the game where there is timed dialogue that you have to wait out for, female Akira talks faster. So it's faster to play as the male character. It saves, I believe it's like 13 or 14 seconds, somewhere in between that. So by picking female here, which I do every run just because I like the female character, and I'm attached to running as female character because I've done it for so long, I lose that much time. Which isn't a big deal, but it is just free time save that you can get from the very start by playing as male. This is the bike section. There's not really much to talk about here. It's basically an auto-scroller. You just don't want to get hit by these aberrations. If you don't kill them, they fly off screen after a certain amount of time, so it doesn't matter if you kill them or not. What does matter is you don't want to get hit by them, because every time that you get hit, the game does a little bit of slowdown because of the hit animation. But for the most part, this section's an auto-scroller, which it lasts for just about 3 minutes, so it kind of gets annoying when resetting, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's better than having to sit through a long intro like other games. On this car, so you can't actually kill the car until after a certain amount of time has passed, which is after it throws that second Molotov. So you just want to make sure that you don't get hit by either of the Molotovs. You also don't want to evade that car when it comes back. If you do an evade there, it does like a big slowdown cinematic kind of thing. So it's faster to end up just taking a hit rather than evading and going through the car. And if you move properly and get lucky with how the car bounces, depending on when you kill it, you can just get under it without taking a hit anyways. And then this is the truck. So the way that I do this is I want to kill the thing on the left side, if it's super far to the left, which it is here, to try and force it to be in the middle here. And then if they are in a good position, then I want to kill the things on the right. And it's after the quality assurance text goes away. You have to kill 2 more before they stop spawning if you've killed enough. And then I just want those things on the left side to be closer to the center to minimize my travel time there. Giving a point to decide a stream, and it will be doing KH3 runs with Freddy. That'll be a fun stream as well. And then here, I do a dodge roll, a running dodge roll, which I don't know if there's a proper name for it, but as long as you're holding the analog stick in or pushing down on it, the game considers you to be in the running or dashing state. And there's 2 types of dodge rolls that you can do. One is a cartwheel that happens when you're not running, and then there's also that big dodge roll that happens when you are running. So by holding the analog stick in there and doing the dodge roll, I end up getting right in front of that officer that we need to talk to. And then we have to escort him to the stretcher, and it's mandatory and there's no way to get around it, at least that we know of at this point. And now we start getting into combat. So these are the aberrations. They're the, like, people who get red shifted and turn into monsters. And I do a thing called weapon switching here. So I do 3 hits and then switch to gun. And then switch back to baton. And what this does is it continues my combo without making me do the finisher. And I do the same thing here. So I do 3 hits, switch to gun and do a shot. And then switch back to baton. And I just do this, and I hold in the direction of the enemy that I want to target. And the goal is to just, like, move around and kill things as I'm waiting for these officers to also shoot and deal damage. This first phase is... It can vary quite a bit, just because the way that the officers decide to shoot, the way that those aberrations decide to move. Here, what I normally do is just focus my shots, my gunshots, on whatever the officers are targeting. And I dodge after I do the finisher of that gunshot, or if I get hit. Because some of the flying aberrations came down to the ground there, it's faster to do baton combos on them. So if you ever see an aberration near the ground, you want to hit it with your baton instead of doing gunshots. And then there, to get into this cutscene, I do a slide and then a running dodge roll as well. This section is timed. We just have to wait for the voice lines to run out. So I just run around, do whatever. It doesn't really matter. But it's like a minute-ish of downtime where you just get to wait. What's up, Mobile? Thanks for insulting my gameplay. I really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. And then this point, this is when we first get our Legion. So that's the Sword Legion that we have now. Akira has an Arrow Legion. And it is a 4-wave fight, so it starts off with that one big Chimera, then we have a wave of 5 grounded aberrations, then a wave of 3 flying aberrations, and then it will endlessly spawn 2 of the same Chimera that we fought at the very beginning, until the voice lines end. So there's like a little bit of a delay before the enemies spawn in, so the goal is to kill both of those Chimeras during the last voice line, and then as soon as that last voice line ends, the game checks to see if there are Chimeras alive, because now it can end the fight. And then, since both the Chimeras are dead, it instantly ends the fight. So what I do is I do combos on these 2 Chimeras here at the start, and then dismiss my Legion, and in order to get the rest of the damage that I need to do, I just dodge around, and Akira, every time that you dodge or get hit or swing, Akira shoots. So I just have Akira constantly shoot them to make up the rest of the damage, because Akira can't kill, he can only bring them to 1 HP. What I also do here, which I did really early on in this fight, is pick up all of the red matter in this section. So the red matter is that, like, red stuff that's on the floor that you can pick up with your Legion. The reason that I do that is picking up red matter gives you money. So in any time section, we pick up red matter to get more money. And the red matter that we pick up in these first 2 files is actually really important to make sure that we have enough money for drinks in file 3. Here, I send my Legion at Elias to hit him, and then I do a chain bind. And in the back here, so I call my Legion to myself, and it does this 3-hit combo and then spins. And as it does this spin, I slightly move my Legion to the side. And the most important thing there is you don't want to, like, flick the stick or let go of ZL as you're, like, moving the stick, because then it will send your Legion instead of just moving it. And that way you can get your Legion to loop that combo on Lias's back. Lias can stun when he puts his shield up between a combination of hits. Either, like, your Legion doing the spin can break his shield, Akira shooting him as well helps factor into that. You just don't want him to stun when he's close to being dead, because then he can't jump up to the top of the bridge. The thing is, while we're in this early game, we're very limited in what we can do, so we can't really influence that too much. I just always want to do that same set of combos on Lias's back, and then depending on what he does, I have to adjust. That was actually a really good fight. And then I avoid all of those cars so that we don't get the slowdown. And now we're leaving a file. This is something I actually don't think I've talked about in previous commentary stuff, but at the end of files, I mash both plus and A, because there's some things where you need to hit plus to like progress the case completion screen, and then other things where you need to hit A to progress like a dialogue choice or whatever is in there. So at the end of every file, I'm mashing both those buttons. And that also gets us money at the end of the file based on like your duty that you have, the duty points, which picking up red matter helps with that. The red matter that we pick up gives us more money, which is always good. Yo, Yisk, how's it going? I'm gonna talk about syncs in Legion fight. So then here, it's 2 tutorials that we have to mash through. And then here, at this elevator, what I do is as soon as I get into the center, I immediately start holding back and mash A, and that does the down input to get to heliport, and then the A input to get there. There's like a noticeable point when your character stops when you reach the center, and that's when I start doing that. Logimus, what's up? I did PV again, thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. And then we have to run back and go to the training room, which is 3 down inputs. You can also do up inputs. It's the same either way because the first input, whether you do up or down, it just puts you on that first option. And then here to get to Jin, I do a slide. And there's like a bit of a delay before I can start talking to Jin because I play female. If you play as male, female Akira will finish that voice line sooner. And then I mash with A and B through all the text. Here I mash start or mash plus to get through that tutorial, and then as I do that I hold up left to position the iris cursor on top of the training terminal, and then you want to back out without taking any training. And then here, as I leave the training room, I do a slide. I don't know if that's actually worth it to do in that case, but I've been doing it anyways, because you can't slide or like dodge when you're outside of the training room, so I just do the slide there. Looks cool. I don't know if it is worth it or not. Then we have to run back to the command room, and then on the way back out here, because we have to go back up to the heliport, we hit the vending machine. Drinks throughout the run are very, very, very important. There's a very well-routed drink route. So here I buy 3 spices and then a sweet peach soup. Spicy cobras increase your attack by 50%. Sweet peach soups do that, but also increase your Legion's charge rate by 100%. Sweet peach soups are also super duper expensive compared to spices. I think spices are 300, sweet peach soups are 1600. Leon, how's it going? It does suck. It does suck getting that away before talking to Jin. The good thing about it, if you can like take it as a good thing, is if Akira gets stuck going into the elevator on the way back down to the training room, it doesn't really lose as much time because you have to wait for him to finish his voice line anyways. Here at the very start here, you have to open up Iris in order to move. So I do that, and then I send my Legion to pick up the red matter that's on the handprint, and then I slide to hit the hand. And then after examining the handprint, you run over to eavesdrop on these 2 guards, send your Legion to them, and then again mash with A and B. Also, in terms of mashing, make sure in the options that you have your text set to be instant instead of scroll. And then after I finish eavesdropping, talk to Max, and then on finishing investigations, I just mash A, B, and down, because it doesn't matter what options you pick, so you just want to mash through that as fast as you can. We have to analyze that handprint again, and then I do a slide and a dodge roll, and I call my Legion to me, and calling my Legion finishes the trail, which triggers the cutscene. We slide to get under that gap. We slide basically anywhere that we would have to crouch. Here I use a spicy, and then I send my Legion. This is Briario's. This fight is a mess. It's really, really bad. So you can perfect dodge his attacks, and there's a chance that that sends him up into the air and then back down to the ground, which is nice. You can kind of try and do the same thing that I was doing on Laius, where you like have your Legion close to you and have it loop that combo, but the positioning to do that is a lot worse, and it's also something you can't really do in this last phase because your Legion will want to start targeting the other enemies that spawn in. Briareus does this one big move where he like spins both of his hands. It's the worst thing that he can do because that move there, you can't really like punish it. Even if you perfect dodge it, the majority of the time you get hit by the second hand as it comes around. You can perfect dodge it if you're in like a very particular spot, but preemptively positioning yourself that way to be able to get that perfect dodge is rough. And then I pick up more red matter here, and as I come there, I do a slide to hit this tutorial. I make sure that I don't have my Legion out here, because if you do, it does a little cinematic where it shows a trail that goes through a wall. And then I pick up more red matter here. This red matter is... the red matter that we pick up in these first two files is to make sure that we have enough money to afford the drinks that we buy at the start of the next file. I do a slide and a dodge roll when I get to the top of the stairs, and then mash through the dialogue there with A and B. I do a slide and 2 dodge rolls while that cinematic comes. There's no way to avoid the trip there. Violin, how's it going? And then we're on our way to Protect and Serve, which is a bigger fight. What you can do here is if you're close enough to the wall or if you're on fire, that tripping animation doesn't actually play. So sometimes I go for that. I still haven't even timed if it's worth it or not. I pick up more red matter there, and then I move my Legion up to this group, and I drink my Spicy Cobra. And what I want to see my Legion do here is that spin, which he can do when he's close to an enemy. So I normally let him do whatever his first action is, and then after that I just try to get a spin because it takes out that entire first wave. I chainbind the big shielded Chimera, and what I've been doing now is I try to kill any of the smaller aberrations that like come out next to this Chimera. You can also, on this Chimera, send your Legion, and when you send Sword Legion, it does 2 hits, right? And then it does whatever it wants to afterwards. So you can just loop that sending and do like 1-2, 1-2. And I do that, and then I also mix in like the 3-hit combo your Legion could do if I see that it's close to me. I bind that shielded Chimera again when it spawns in, which I didn't mention. And the goal there is to kill all of the smaller aberrations by the time that you've killed the shielded Chimera so that you don't have to wait for them to spawn in more. And now we're on the way into Enceladus. Thank you, Violin. I appreciate it. And so something I do here is at the very beginning of this fight, I hold X and I hit upright to switch to Sweet Peach Soup so that I can grow the Sweet Peach Soup immediately. And we want to throw Enceladus back with our chain so that he falls on the ground. And I call my Legion to me here, and what I want my Legion to do is this 3-hit combo that he has done before. Today my Legion just wanted to give me spins, which it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not as good as this 3-hit combo. You can see how much damage that does. And then I bound Enceladus here. This isn't something you can always go for, it just depends on what move he does. But by doing that bind, I stopped him from going to break the floor. If he does the cinematic where he goes to break the floor, you can chain bind him out of it so that he can't break the floor. And then what I want to do when I'm behind him is get that 3-hit combo, and then send my Legion away again, and then call it back to me. Something I do at the very start of this astral plane is I do a running dodge roll that puts you into the running state, and even though the game doesn't normally allow you to run here, once you do one dodge roll, you're able to run the entire rest of the way. Until you take another, like, action. So at the end here, which I'm also picking up red matter again for money, when I come up to the top of this ramp, I do a slide, and that slide puts me back into walking state, so I have to do another running dodge roll to get into running state again. The reason I do that slide there is to... Olive's voice line ends when you reach a certain point in that movement, and then Akira starts his voice line, and I do the slide there to end Olive's voice line earlier so that Akira starts his voice line. This section is timed. What you do here doesn't actually matter at all, so you just have to wait. More waiting. But now we're getting into some of the good stuff. This is where the combat like really starts to open up after this next fight when we go into this bigger Legion fight. That's when we start getting our full combo. So up until this point, we've been severely limited in what we can do. We have a 4-hit baton combo that we can do and a 3-hit gun combo. Once we get our Legion back here, because it has betrayed us, and we have to fight it to recapture it. Once we get our Legion back, it opens up the full combat. This section is also timed, so the way that this works is you need to do 8 hits on Sword Legion with your baton after the voice lines run out. So during this section, what I want to see is, I want Sword to attack me here, which he will do in a second. And so I perfect dodge this, and I just hold on my item to slow down, because now I'm in a position where I know that Sword Legion is not going to attack me as these voice lines run out. So I'm going to release the slowdown here while he does that attack, and then I can immediately go in on him. And I've done 4 hits, that's another 2, that's 7 total, and then I need 1 more. The good thing about the perfect dodge is both of those kicks do count as hits towards him, which is nice. And then here, I've switched to spicy so I can mash that drink out in the cutscene, and I change them to arrow, try and get behind it and set up for sinks on Arm Legion. Unfortunately, Arm Legion did this spin. What I do here is I just do the recovery, and then as long as I don't send my Legion again, it sets up for a blindside combo on Arm. You can also hold ZL when you do that recovery in order to do a chain bind. I personally don't do it just because I don't think that the chain bind animation is like, it's not worth it, because you're already getting a blindside combo for free as long as you set up properly. Here, Axe did a spin on me. You can slash Axe to finish this, to like cancel out that attack. I didn't go for it because I haven't actually done it before. And then this is the second pass through, so all the Legions come back around. And then I perfect dodged Axe's hit there because I know that I can't sync through that. You get, I think it's Super Armor Alpha on baton syncs, which can help you armor through some moves. That move in particular, unless I like time the sync very properly, I can't armor through, so I just opt to take a perfect dodge there. And then after you beat Axe Legion on that second come around, it's just timed. So now we have to platform, so I change up here, and I send my Legion and run off the edge and do another running dodge roll while I'm in midair to skip that other platform. Then I move my Legion manually, and then dismiss and send my Legion again. Thank you, Cap, for that dismiss tip. And then that skips another platform. And as I do that last jump, I also do another midair running dodge roll. As long as you are holding that analog stick down, you get the running dodge roll. The game considers you running, even if you're in the air, in a state where you like physically can't run. So there's a lot of moments throughout the run where we're platforming that I am holding in that analog stick so that I can do the running dodge roll. Something of note here, depending on how the fights go here, and then also the amount of duty points that you end File 1 with, you either get 1 promotion or 2 promotions here. It doesn't actually matter. It's just, if you get 2 promotions here, you don't get a promotion at the end of File 3. If you get 1 here, then you get 1 at the end of File 3. And this is File 3. This is a very slow file to start, but it's an interesting file. And this file went really well in this run. So here, there's a cutscene that you can skip with Brenda, and then another cutscene immediately after. And we run to the command room to talk to Yosef, who tells us what we have to do for this file. And so, on our way to the training room that we have to go to, we hit the vending machine and buy 3 spicy cobras. These are all, except I use 2 spices in this file, but I just buy 3 because there's no reason not to. It's also good to have an extra in case you accidentally like misinput. And then here, when you run up towards that corner, I just start mashing text to get through Lappy. Again, I'm mashing with A and B. I hold my controller in a very weird way here. I'll try and show it on my webcam, but I hold so I can mash with ring and middle finger on A and B, and then I mash plus with my left hand, and I just like balance my controller on my leg there. So I can do mashing for text and then mashing also for the tutorial stuff. And then here, as I go to this training terminal, I change up to it. IMGB, what's up? How's it going? And again, we don't want to take a training. You just want to back out of it. because taking your training is slow. And as I leave this area, I do a slide to try and get towards the door for the upgrade maintenance room or whatever it's called. Unfortunately, I didn't get that slide in the direction I wanted it to go. It was a little bit further to the left, but it's still better to do the slide than not. Lappy calls you as you leave the training room, so by doing that slide, you're able to get some distance where the game would normally just stop you from moving at all. Then we have to talk to Ted to get a material code. And then after we get that material code, we talk to Tabitha to upgrade the baton. There's that mandatory upgrade that we have to do. And then we also do an additional upgrade here. And then after this upgrade, we back out and close the tutorial, mash through some more text, and then close another tutorial here. And then I run to the right and I open the camera with right D-pad to take a picture of Lappy because we have to take a picture of him. And then after Tabitha finishes her line on that last section with Lappy, that's actually a cutscene that you can skip. And then as I skip that cutscene, I immediately hit X, do 3 up inputs to go to break room, and then teleport to the break room. And then again, it's more mashing through Lappy. This section's very mash heavy. The investigation at the start of this file is also very, very mash heavy. You run to the command room here. It teaches you about the Legatus terminal, which we never end up using in the run. You can use it to like clean your Legion off. It's not worth the time that it takes. I believe it's worth it for ILs to clean your Legions off before doing an IL because it makes your Legion like more active. And then here we get a call from Marie, and I take a step forward after the call before I open my menu. There's like a delay that happens when you finish a phone call in this game where your character can't actually open the menu. And taking a step there gets rid of that delay. We teleport to the garage, talk to Marie, and then teleport to the heliports. And talk to Akira, and then leave. And now we are in the investigation for this part. So this starts with a cutscene that you skip, and then some dialogue that I just mash through. And I do a dodge roll. So when you mash with A and B, when you finish a dialogue mashing with B, you do a dodge roll in the direction that you're holding. So when I'm ending these dialogues, I try to dodge in a specific way that like gives me movement towards where I want to go. We talk to this observant boy. He gives us 2 things. Round this corner, chain jump over to this arm mechanic and slash the line. I ended up missing 3 times. I don't know if it was like I tilted my controller and gyro stuff happened or what. There's a thing called strange signal skip here, where it skips adding strange signals to the notebook. Every time that I think I understand how it works, I realize that I don't. I have literally no clue how that works. Hopefully someone can find a consistent setup for it someday. That's not me, because I have no clue how that works. And then we talk to this officer, and I dodge roll into the wall to set up my positioning to just mash ZL to talk to this drone. And then I open Iris up. By opening Iris up there, it starts this progression of the drone as soon as you open Iris. As opposed to where the game would mandatorily open up Iris after you finish talking to the officer, so it makes it slightly faster. I do a slide to hit this Artificionado, and then mash through this and just pick whatever option there. Dodge roll back. I do 2 chain jumps over here to get to this ladder. You want to be careful hitting the chairs that are there, because if you're too close to a person, they can like yell at you. Akira can get mad at you for hitting the chair as well. And then here, I try to chain jump over to Parnassus number 2, but I get my Legion stuck on the wall. And then I turn my camera here and mash through that dialogue and send my Legion not to hit the Parnassus member, but to hit the like dumpster thing on the side so that I can chain bind him while he's running. Stunning him near that wall can make that chain bind a little bit weird. I also do a dodge roll as soon as I'm done with chain binding him, and that allows you to dodge roll at the start where that officer talks. You're able to get 1 dodge roll out to the right. If you're slightly slow on that chain bind, you actually can't get that dodge roll out. It like locks your movement. And then here at the top of the steps here, I do a slide, and then we have to go back after we talk to them to be able to eavesdrop on them. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. So I've had a few theories on how a strange signal skip works. One was like, you do the slash fast enough out of the chain jump, which that might be the case. Another that I had was, there were times, there was like a stretch where I got it 3 times in a row, where I like hit a chair, and I figured, oh, the interruption from the chair like interrupts the dialogue, and then that stopped working. And then I also at one point thought that if I was close enough to the arm mechanic, it would like trigger the dialogue in the fade out or whatever. That also didn't work. As we do that ID pickup there, I chain jump to the back of the room, because once you get in there, you can't actually use your Legion. And then as I come back through this section, there's that like red matter mess on the ground. And I want to chain jump to that because it cuts out a voice line from Akira. I believe Cap was the person who mentioned that to me. I had a lot of trouble slashing stuff in this run. It took 3 slashes for the arm mechanic and 3 slashes for this door. Not great. And then I pick up the red matter there and analyze this trail. Akira does some very cool parkour and doesn't ruin everything for us. Thanks. Thank you, Akira. And then we have to chain jump across. And as I do this last chain jump, I dismiss, do a dodge roll, and then send my Legion again so that my Legion hits this gate. And then we jump in. And now we are in the astral plane here for file 3. This is the first of 2 astral planes. And so I mash through dialogue here, and I hold forward left to get a dodge roll out. Chain jump to my Legion. I haven't explicitly mentioned it, but as you can see, chain jumping is a very good form of movement now that we can do it, and we chain jump a lot. And I just immediately jump in to trigger this fight, and as this fight spawns in, I open the menu and go to Legion Learning. And I learn Perfect Dodge plus Sync, I learn Attack 5%, and I learn Power Charge. And on all of these, I'm doing D-pad inputs, and I just hold ZR the entire time. And then I assign skill and put Power Charge on X. I do a Power Charge, use the Spicy Cobra, chain jump to my Legion, and switch to Gladius. And then I pick up some more red matter here while I wait for the next wave to come in. Skip the cutscene here, dodge roll forward right, and slash this line. And I want to be locked onto this big shielded Chimera, because there's the chance that your Legion ends up hitting the shielded Chimera, the shield generating Chimera in the back. And if it does that, it's good. So here's a good time to talk about target switching. So I target that shielded Chimera, and then immediately switch targets. Target the shield generating Chimera on the other side, chain jump to it, and immediately switch targets. The reason that I do that is you can see that when you get something to 1 HP, you get a finish off prompt, right? Where the game's like, oh, hit A to finish this thing off because it's at 1 HP now. That only occurs if you and your Legion are targeting the same thing. So by setting up a hit that will kill an enemy, and then switching targets so that you're not targeting the same thing as your Legion, you're able to get the kill instead of bringing that enemy to 1 HP and getting the finish off prompt. So there's a lot of fights in the run where I have specifically designed combos in order to set up for being able to avoid that prompt. Here we do a thing called drone skip, so we jump up to the staircase and then do a chain jump over towards this wall and do a full baton combo, and I dodge roll towards it. I believe it was Snap who originally found this, and I think he also found this newer setup for it as well. And then I call my Legion to hit that button. I call my Legion again, I like hold it back and then call it. I called a little too early, so I had to send it again, and then send it to hit that switch. And then on the way up here, I use a Fishy Water and I Power Charge. And the reason I do that before the fight is because it's faster. I dodge roll here and Power Charge because I want to Power Charge here, so because it gets refreshed as you go into this like full part of the fight, but I don't want to actually use it in this part, so I want to make sure that I'm good on Power Charge. And you only need to kill the big 2 beast chimeras. What's up, Solar Eclipse? And then here, as Cerberus does this howl, as he like finishes it, I do a Power Charge here. I dodge here to do a perfect dodge and do the sync off of that. This was found by Itty. And I do a full baton combo, and he jumps in front of you, so you get blindside damage. And there's a chance that you kill here. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. It doesn't really matter if you get it or not, because either way, you have to chain jump over to the side to get to Isabella. As I do that second jump, I dismiss my Legion because I know that Cerberus is going to howl, and that ends up knocking your Legion back. So by dismissing there, I'm able to just immediately call my Legion and move it again. Have I played through the post game? I haven't gotten through all of it. I've done about 30 of the File 12 cases, but that's it. And now we're on our way out of the Astral Plane. There is a small fight here and then another fight afterwards before we go into the second Astral Plane. Finished it a couple of months ago. I like just started doing it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I Fishy and Power Charge at the start of this fight and use Gun to kill those. And then I Legion learn Defense plus 5% and Round Sword here. And then I go to Assign Skills and put Round Sword on. Also, you can close the menu with minus, so the same button that you use to open it. And I do that after I finish learning. Again, there's another place where I target switch, so those enemies die in 2 Gladius hits with Round Sword up. So I target that first one that falls down, do 2 hits on it, and as I go for the second hit, I target switch to the other one. Here, I know that this is going to swing at me, so I perfect dodge that swing, because perfect dodge hit like crazy. And then we have the Greatsword Chimera Diomedes, I believe his name is. And I power charge and do a Gladius combo, and I just spam send my Legion at him. Unfortunately, I whiffed that entire sync. Another thing to note about finish off prompts is if you bring an enemy to 1 HP on the hit before a sync, it doesn't give you the slowdown that finish off prompts normally give. It does still keep the enemy at 1 HP, but you don't get that slowdown. So there's also points where I want to have my combo set up so that I bring something to 1 HP. When it's like the last thing alive, I want to bring it to 1 HP with the hit before a sync so that I don't get that slowdown as well. And then these people can be really annoying, like running into you, but you can chain jump through them. I power charge here, do a Fishy, and then send my Legion and power charge. These also die in 2 hits. Unfortunately, I was a little too slow on the target switch there, so I wasn't able to target switch the way that I wanted to. And then I switch to Gun here, and I pre-fire at these things as they fall down. And we just do gun combos with syncs to kill these aberrations. And then as this last group spawns in, I power charge, and unfortunately, this dodged back immediately, which really, like, ruined what I was going for. But it still ended up being okay. So what I normally go for there is 3 hits on that Chimera, and on the 3rd hit, I switch to the shielded one. And then I do the other 2 Gladius hits on it, which bring it to 1 HP, and then the sync kills. But unfortunately, because of the positioning there, I couldn't actually go for that. Here I dodge roll forward, mash through that text, dodge roll again to get rid of the delay from the phone call, and then go into the gate. Been speedrunning the secret boss. Oh, sweet. Congrats on the PB. Nice. That's good to hear. And now we're at Astral Plane 2. This Astral Plane is easier than the other one. So I run off the ledge here and then send my Legion forward to chain jump to it. And then I do a slide there and send my Legion to hit this switch, chain jump to my Legion to get through these blocks. And then we need to hit all 3 of these switches. So I send my Legion, turn the camera, send my Legion, turn the camera, and do that over and over again until I've hit them all. And then I pick up red matter here, again, because we have to wait for these platforms to move. It's a time section, so we can just pick up red matter. Fortunately, speedrun.com doesn't have a category for it. Are you in the Astral Chain speedrunning Discord? Because you can suggest a category in there and they might add it. If you aren't, I can send you an invite. I can go grab the link. And then here, I want to be on the right side there as I jump off the side. For whatever reason, there's an invisible wall on that left side that stops you from, like, jumping down. But if you're on the right side of it, there's, like, no wall, so you can get through. Yes. Sweet. Okay, I can grab a link. And then here, oops, that was almost weird. I chain jump to the top of that ramp, chain jump across that gap, change up again to the top of this ramp, and then do another chain jump to get towards this corner. I make sure that I'm not running, and I make sure that I have my Legion dismissed. And I do 7 dodge rolls and hits in between them. And then on this last one, I just hit send Legion. I believe it was Alkratz who found that. It skips having to do the switches. It's very easy to mess up, but it's not very hard to do properly, I guess. And then I send my Legion at arrow and do the chain bind, power charge spicy, dodge roll to get behind it, round sword, and do full Gladius combo with blindside damage, and that kills. If you don't get blindside damage, you need an extra hit. So what I do when I see that I'm not getting blindside damage is I do Gladius hit, baton hit, and then full Gladius combo, because that gets an extra Gladius hit. And it's better to do that hit in the start than it is to have the delay after doing the sync. Because after the sync, there's like a period of time where you can't actually do inputs. Oh, Spec, thank you. I was just about to grab one after this fight. Because this is a timed section where we have to wait for voice lines to run out. So again, picking up red matter is good. Because we have nothing else to do here. So here we're basically just waiting for Olive to finish her voice line so that we can hit a switch that lets us get over to Akira. As far as I know, you can't get to Akira before these voice lines run out. There's an invisible wall that's just in front of him. I don't know if there's a way to bypass that. No one has found anything at this point. But you have to hit this switch to get rid of that wall, as far as I know. And then I chain jump, do the running dodge roll, and then do another chain jump to get over to him. And it's 2 tutorials there. Depending on the speed that you do that movement at, you either get the tutorials on the fade out, or you can get them as the cutscene comes in, if you're fast, which I was slightly slow there. And then again, of note, leaving this file, because I got 2 promotions in file 2, I don't get a promotion at the end of this file. Solar Eclipse, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the stream. So we leave the file here. It's another 2 cutscenes because we like land at the heliport. So another 2 cutscenes to skip. And then same as like I had mentioned earlier on, I just mash A and plus here. And this split was a gold. This was a very, very good split. I was at my best pace ever, leaving file 3. Like, quite a bit, too. It was a very good early game. File 4 is hard. I lost quite a bit of time in this file. It was not a good file. But it is what it is. It happens. So here we buy more drinks. So we restock spices. I dropped an input here, trying to just buy drinks somehow. But we want to have 3 spices and 3 sweet peaches, and then I teleport to the command room, and that immediately triggers the cutscene here, and then teleport to the garage. And unlike before, now that we have Max's storehouse unlocked, it's 2 up inputs to get to garage instead of the 1 that it was in file 3. So every time that we go to the garage from now on, it's 2 up inputs. Not interested in speedrunning the base game, but am interested in watching them. Aw, sweet. It's a very cool run. Here we do a thing called Red Light Skip, which I believe was found by Bloopy Arrow. So I switch to Arrow Legion and Gun, turn my back to this, and do a charge sync. So you just hold ZR and do the sync, and hold in the direction away from that barrier, and it skips having to wait for the red light. I accidentally got my Legion, like, caught on the plant thing, but I want to chain jump up the stairs there. Talk to the eyewitness. We're in another investigation here. And then after talking to the eyewitness, I go forward right here, chain jump over to this vending machine, and I buy 3 fishy waters and a cream puff soda. I don't think I explained what fishy waters do, but fishy waters increase your attack by 100%, and they increase crit rate by 10%, I believe? Or, it's crit something. I don't know if it's crit rate or crit damage. They do something, but they're very, very good. They're the best drinks that we can get. Cream puff sodas give us plus 25% attack and armor. Which the armor, in particular, is very, very useful later in the run in File 8. but they are our budget drink. So the drink that, like, you use it when you don't, when you want to use a drink, but you don't want to actually use something that's good. You just throw a cream puff, pretty much. And then we talk to the easily lost man. It's very important here that you don't chain jump to your legion, because then the easily lost man gets easily lost and can't find you. So you just want to run here. Grand, thank you, I appreciate it. And we bring him to Larcher Burger, and that's the end of the investigation here. So now we have to go back up to the plaza and get to, like, the walkway area. So I chain jump to the top of these steps with arrow, and then I switch to sword, because in terms of movement differences between these two legions, Arrow Legion moves faster when you move it manually. But Sword Legion doesn't have, like, the same startup to sending that Arrow does. So when I'm doing these, like, rapid chain jumps here, I want to be on Sword Legion because I actually get those chain jumps out faster, which is nice. No, I was comparing against, I put together goal splits for a 242 because I didn't want to compare against my PD. So I wanted to have something more balanced, and then I knew, like, if I was ahead at all, then I was on 241 pace. But my PB was 242.17. This astral plane is actually very, very difficult. So here we shoot the switch that lowers this platform, and I send my legion here and push it forward so that I can chain jump on top of this wall and then shoot these 3 switches as the platform goes down. And then pick up more red matter because, again, we have to wait for this elevator. And now we do a thing called Analyzer Skip. I believe this was found by Snap. It was before my time. But I do the running dodge roll off the side here, change jump to my legion and do another running dodge roll. You can do a normal dodge roll into running dodge roll to get over there. I switched to Gladius here. I believe this was found by Elkrat. So we change jump up to this enemy, hit it, and then move Arrow Legion over to the ledge so that we can change up to it and skip having to do the switches. Land on the corner of this block so that we can actually hit that switch. And then I picked up this movement from Cap. You can change jump into, like, the middle of the blocks and do 2 dodge rolls to hit the cutscene. And then change jump forward. Here I do a power charge and I use a fishy water. And then round sword. This fight was pretty bad, unfortunately. And I do gun combos to hit these. What you want to see is this large Chimera come forward, but it didn't. And then what I tried to do there was jump to it and do Gladius hits, but it just, like, smacked me out of the air. So I was like, okay, I'll just do gunshots instead. That opening lost me, like, 7 seconds. And then I do hits on this Chimera and switch targets to the flying Chimera, and I try to jump up to it and kill it. Unfortunately, I didn't get the kill because he hit me. So then here, because this other Chimera has come forward, I slash it, and then power charge and shoot the one that I've already damaged. Chain jump up to this one to do Gladius hits on it. And then I just opt to chain jump to this shielded enemy and kill it. You can try to do gunshots, but he has his own little armor plating thing that he can put up and just block your gunshots. The chain jump guarantees that he dies, which is why I went for that instead. And then I pick up more red matter as I wait for Olive to do her voice line for the gate to appear. No male memes this time, thank God. The female's the best. But this astral plane is very, very difficult. With the combination of Analyzer Skip and that Switches Skip, the movement is pretty difficult. Not that either of those skips are, like, too difficult on their own. The back-to-back of doing them both, and the fact that, like, if you make a simple mistake, you miss it, kind of sucks. And that flying Chimera fight is awful. It's so bad, because they can just dodge what you want to do in the air, they can stun you. It's not a fun fight. Now we have to get over to the, like, plaza, so I just chain jump on the way over here to get to this rendezvous point. Objectively incorrect, but female is very cute, so it is good character. And then again, we just mash through the investigation dialogue because it doesn't actually matter what choices we pick. Now we're going into Arc Mall. This movement can get a bit scary. There's a lot of goop on the ground. When you run into goop, it like stops you from moving, and you do like a "oh, I'm stuck in the goop" animation where it's slow and bad. So avoiding the goop is important. Avoiding the tentacles that can hit you is also important. I believe I got hit by one tentacle in this run. I just got like smacked in the back when I wasn't even expecting it. Again, chain jumps are very good for movement, so we just chain jump that entire way. And then here I switch to Arrow Legion because again, Arrow Legion moves faster than Sword when you're manually moving it. Chain jump across this goop. I tried to send my Legion there, but I would have sent it too late and it would have targeted the tentacle. So instead I just opted to manually move my Legion. Again, you want to chain jump over this goop so that you don't get hit by the goop. I move Arrow Legion to this door to open it, and then chain jump to it and do a dodge roll to get over the last set of goops. Switch back to Sword because we get grabbed by a tentacle here. And Sword Legion takes out the tentacle faster than Arrow Legion's attack would. So I just call Sword, and that breaks it. Switch back to Arrow Legion. I pick up a little bit of red matter because I can. And then chain jump to the door, and again use Arrow to open the door, and chain jump to it. I dodge roll to not get hit by this tentacle, and then run around the tentacles. You want to stay on the right side here so that that tentacle doesn't grab you. I chain jump into this table, and then dodge roll, call my Legion again, and chain jump over that tentacle. Chain jump to the center here, and then move my Legion forward, and chain jump there. And then I try to chain jump across this goop, and I just get, like, smacked, and just chain jump afterwards. I could have done, like, the Legion recovery. I don't know which would have been faster. Switch back to Sword, pick up some more red matter, and then at the top of the stairs here, I do a power charge and fishy water before going into the fight so that I don't have to do it at the start of Arm Legion. And then here I just mash send my Legion and do baton combos to force the end of first phase. Unfortunately, my chain, like, went around the opposite side than what I was expecting, so when I tried to chain bind Arm, it just didn't work out. And then you want to power charge and do a full Gladius combo to kill. And that's the Arm Legion fight. The goop can get a bit weird. Getting the chain bind around Arm at the start of second phase can get a bit weird because there's like a period of time there where Arm Legion doesn't get affected by the chain. There's like a second and a half where he doesn't get affected by it, and then it like snaps in. And it can get really weird with which side you're on if you like don't do it correctly, like I didn't here. Mariana's down to join the race! Sweet! Oh, that's awesome. That's really good to hear. Very exciting. And then here we get Arm Legion, which is a great form of movement. You can dash with him by like evading, and you can just chain that. Chain jump across this gap. You can also just dash across it, but I don't do it because it's scary and I've messed it up before, and then you fall down and you have to like run back up the stairs and it's annoying. Dodge roll to get over the goop. Call Arm Legion back, and then I do more dashes. I accidentally ran my Legion out there. If you space the dashes out properly, you get charge back from the red matter. Switch to Sword Legion here. And then, unfortunately, again for this run, which it was the first time in like 3 weeks that this has happened, I chain bind this and power charge and go to Cream Puff, and Cream Puff wasn't registered this run because I accidentally picked up like medicine or something earlier on. And then Gladius combo to kill. So I want a Cream Puff Soda there because it kills before the sync, and then you also have Cream Puff Soda up for tentacles as well, which is nice. Not having it here isn't the biggest deal. The only bad part about it is you need it for later, so then when I do the menu in file 5, I have to register Cream Puff so that I can actually use it. Here we do tentacles very specifically. I believe it was Mitchell who found this setup. So we want to kill these tiny tentacles so that basically there are chimeras rapidly spawning in throughout this fight, and these larger tentacles eat the chimeras that spawn in and just insta-kill them. And as soon as they start eating, the chimeras are dead. So we want to like wait here so that all the chimeras are getting eaten before we kill these larger tentacles. and then go through and kill them all. And then we go to this elevator. Another mistake. So I tried to switch to spicy here, which I don't normally do. I don't know why I tried to do it here. But by switching to spicy, I accidentally used it. And that's really bad. Because now I'm a spicy down for the next, 2 files. File 5 and File 6. Because we don't buy drinks again. Or buy spices again. So I had to adjust some stuff for later on, which I'll go over. And I'll also say what I would actually do normally. But it does make some things slightly slower. And it also makes me restock cream puffs later in the run where I normally wouldn't. And because I have to spicy again here anyways. So I spicy Homunculus Alpha. You can fishy water here if you want to play it safer. This fight went really poorly. So when I tried to round sword at the start there, I ended up switching to arrow, which kind of threw this entire combo off. And then what I normally do is do 3 hits and then dodge roll and power charge. And when I tried to power charge here, I just didn't get the power charge off. And I didn't realize it until after I did these syncs. And I realized how under on damage I was. Which was very unfortunate. And then when Homunculus is in the air like that, I normally change up to it and do Gladius hits. Unfortunately, he gooped me. And then I ended up losing time. You can't actually kill Homunculus until after the voice lines end. But you should have him at 1 HP before then. I ended up losing like 4 or 5 seconds there. Just because the arrow switch, the power charge mishap, and then getting gooped in midair. But the majority of that was my fault. It was unfortunate. And then during this section here where Alicia is talking, I switched to fishy water. So in a normal run where I didn't have the spicy cobra mistake, I would have 2 spicies here and a fishy water. But that is not the case. The reason I switched to fishy water here is so that I can have it already like chosen to use for the next fight at the start of the subway. Because switching here doesn't actually lose you time because you have to wait for the dialogue anyways. So that slowdown of switching doesn't really matter or make a difference at all. But this was a bad file. This was one of the worst files in the run. This file, File 7, and File 9 are the weakest files in the whole run. But it's fine because the run was still good. Now we go into File 5. File 5 is actually really scary. There is a very dangerous fight in Beast Legion that if you mess it up, you lose quite a bit of time. And one of the hardest skips in the run being Drone 2 skip, HAL 2. Because we skip picking up his second drone part and bringing it to him. And it also skips a fight and a puzzle that we would normally do. And the movement in general is just faster, so it ends up saving over a minute. Here at the start, I just run to the infirmary and talk to Brenda. It's faster to run to the infirmary than it is to teleport there, which is nice. And then we go into the ARI, which is a good section of downtime. It's an auto-scroller, can't really do much. It's a good time to, like, drink water and stuff, not be worried. Relax going into a scary file, all that kind of good stuff. Currently trying to get ultimate accolade. Ooh, how do you get that? I don't actually know. Is that all the thing for getting all orders? Because that seems like a lot. It's too many orders. Yeah. Ooh, that sounds rough. Best of luck with it. Only have like 5 more left. Damn, nice. Getting close.
This floor is where the red matter specialists work. There's nowhere on the Ark better equipped to treat red-shifting civilians or officers.
There's a lot of orders. I'll order speedrun when never.
Wait here.
Never ever.
Make yourself at home here. Just be sure not to step outside.
So here we have to wait for Brenda to talk to the holo receptionist. Which, again, downtime. It's a good amount of downtime. This whole section, it's like 3 minutes where We just follow Brenda and listen to her talk. It's a great time for donations in a marathon. That's for sure. Also, it's a good time to look at Twitter, not pay attention. Good stuff.
These rooms are reserved for victims of redshift and Chimera attacks. Oculus is in one
Is there
of them
anything
right
else
now.
I can talk about that I haven't talked about already that pertains to earlier in the run?
I must say,
You have
I wish
downtime.
I were back here under happier circumstances. Ah, right. I used to work in this branch myself. Back before Dr. Calvert brought me to Neuron. Before I even knew what a Legion was. I was right here, checking charts and pushing gurneys. Every day brought a new batch of the hurt and the hopeless. Eventually I realized I had to do something more
Ooh,
to
okay.
stop all that pain. Truly stop it, not just patch it up. Now, I'm proud to be working with you and Dr. Calvert to fight for humankind's future. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on and on
Oh
about
man, I have
myself
Discord
like that.
notification.
I didn't bore you too much, did I? Here we are.
So, as we mash through Brenda's dialogue there, I turn the camera so that I have a good line to like start doing arm movement here. Oh, perfect dodge. I can talk about perfect dodges. So, since Deedlit, you brought up perfect dodges, there's two different types of perfect dodge moves, right? You can either do your perfect dodge attack or perfect dodge sync. The majority of the time, you want to do perfect dodge attack, and something I didn't mention earlier is the perfect dodge attacks scale off of the weapon that you're holding. So every time that I go to do perfect dodges later in the run, I switch to Gladius, because I want to be holding Gladius so that I get the most damage I can off of perfect dodge hits. Perfect dodge sync is actually like super duper bad outside of Cerberus. Cerberus is like the one time where it's good. Every other time it's kinda not. And even Cerberus I feel like it's kind of debatable. You could probably go for blindside Gladius perfect dodge hit and get just as much damage. But I just haven't gone for it because I don't know the timing on that. But if you like hit ZL to do something with your Legion as you do a perfect dodge, it locks you in to do the perfect dodge sync instead of your perfect dodge hit, which is at some points in the run later, I end up doing perfect dodge sync when I'm not really meaning to, because I get locked into it, or I just like am trying to do something with my Legion and get a perfect dodge I'm not expecting. So here we talk to the injured man. Also, when we get to that first officer, he asks if we want to put a gas mask on. We say no to that because putting the gas mask on like fades out and then it puts it on you and it does like a little, oh, you're wearing a gas mask now thing, and it's slow. As we like come up with that guy, we can push ourselves along the wall with Arm Legion. Here we can punch through this to hit the thing that opens the door. And then, like moving along the wall with pushing ourselves with Arm Legion, we can do something here as well. So, Arm Legion, when you send it at an enemy, grabs it and pulls it to you. So what we can do here is just grab an enemy that's behind us the entire time, and continually grab it, and every time that Arm Legion tries to pull it towards us, it pushes us forward a bit, which is nice. And then here, I dismiss my Legion to get some more charge back. And then again, call my Legion again so that I can do more. And then I mash through text. I do a slide here because there's a phone call coming up. And then Arm Legion dashes. And now we have a fight here, so I switch to Sword, Power Charge, Fishy Water, send Sword Legion forward, and use Round Sword. And again, this is another fight where target switching and being able to do that well to not get the finish off slowdown is very, very nice. Unfortunately, with how quickly these things die, especially when you're power charged and have Fishy Water up, it's kind of hard to preemptively switch targets, just because they die super quickly. And then we have to talk to the civilian to bring him up, and then I repeat the same thing that I did in the last section. So grab this enemy, Arm Legion pulls it to me, and then just continually do that again, so that I get that little tiny boost every single time that Arm Legion pulls the enemy towards me. And I make sure to steer clear of those canisters that are there, because those, when Arm Legion hits them, they explode and they like stun and paralyze anything that's near it. If you get paralyzed by that, you end up dropping the person that you're carrying, and you have to like kill the other Chimera. Here I buy 3 fishy waters, and I would normally buy 3 cream puff sodas. I only had to buy 2 here because I didn't get to use the one in the previous file, because again, I don't have it registered. And that's an adjustment I have to make at the start of the next menu that I do, which is coming up after Beast Legion. We open these doors with Arm Legion. As soon as Arm Legion starts opening the door will open the rest of the way on its own. So when we start opening that, we switch to Sword Legion to Power Charge, use a Spicy Cobra, and Round Sword. And then I do Baton Sinks on these Beast Chimeras, the larger Beast Chimeras. When he jumps into the air like that, he slams down. So you just want to like avoid it, because if it does hit you, it like knocks you to the floor, which kind of sucks. I switched to Arm here, and I also switched to Fishy Water to prepare for the next section. And then I just mash through Alicia's text and do dodge rolls to get onto the escalator here. And we just have to wait for Alicia's voice lines to run out as we walk to the top of this escalator. And then Alicia tells us how she was in love with our dad, and yeah, it's sad.
Everything doesn't always work out the way you think it will.
Again, more text to mash through. And some more here. I do an arm dash to get into position to be able to just dash up that escalator. I do 5 arm dashes here. And then I dismiss and do a running dodge roll in the air, and then recall my Legion once the charge has filled up again. And then again, dismiss my Legion, and then this charge takes me the rest of the way, because I'm picking up red matter here that's also constantly refilling my Legion. And then I dismiss here, use the Fishy Water, and then go back into Armed Legion. And you want to do a full set of punches on Deimos, then switch to Sword Legion and Power Charge. And I do 2 Gladius hits and then Round Sword. And after that, Deimos kind of just does whatever he wants. If he's floating around, you can gun combo him. You can chain jump to him and try to do air combos on him like I did here. He kind of just does whatever he wants. Sometimes you get lucky and he just decides to stay in place, and you can just kill him in 1 Gladius combo, and it's great, but that doesn't happen a lot of the time. Support Alicia and Max, I do as well. And now we have Beast Legion. Beast Legion's the scariest fight in this file. Again, it's one of those fights that when it goes poorly, you lose quite a bit of time. So we start this off by chain binding Beast Legion. Unfortunately, my Legion got smacked. Power Charge, Fishy Water, I call my Legion to me, and then I do a full baton combo. The baton combo knocks him up into the air, and then as I do that last sync, I dodge roll and dismiss my Legion, set up a chain bind to close once Beast Legion gets up and starts running, and then I do Gladius hits on the back of Beast Legion, and he dies in like 3 to 4 hits, depending on what my damage is like and what my Legion decides to do there. It's very, very, very important that Beast Legion starts running before you close the chain bind. So the way that Beast Legion works is once he hits his HP gate and he's able to run, he starts running and he jumps to the other platform, and then you have to like shoot him with arrow or whatever. By chain binding him, once he has decided to run, he won't run again even when he breaks out of the chain bind. If you chain bind him while he's still on the ground before he's able to run, he will break from the chain bind slightly earlier than normal and then immediately run afterwards, which is why I purposefully delay that chain bind to make sure that he's at least taken 1 step there. We move Beast Legion in a specific way here. I believe Snap found this to skip that previous fight. And then here I open up a menu. I do Legion Learning. I unlock the right side with Sword Legion. And then I get Hit Rush, get the ability slot, get the attack 5%, get the other ability slot, and get Sword Spin. And then I do 3 Y inputs to switch to Beast. And I get Perfect Dodge Sync. I get Howl. I get Attack 5%, and I get Power Charge. And then we assign skills and put Power Charge and Howl on Beast. And normally that would be the end of the menu. But because I still need to register Cream Puff, I go back and I register Cream Puff Soda. And put that on where I normally have it, which is top left. Then we use Arm here. I'm not sure who found this fight skip. It might have been Snap as well. But that was before my time. We do arm movement there so that we don't hit the ground. That ends up skipping a fight by just bypassing the thing that would spawn the fight. And then Beast Legion to get across these platforms. I try to chain jump over to Hal so that I can talk to him. You'll see there he gave me a call where he just says, I know you're out there. If you chain jump next to him and talk to him, he doesn't actually get to call you there. But I was slightly off on my positioning there, so we ended up getting that call out, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then here, we need to pick up that drone part that we dig there. That one's mandatory. And then we have to give Beast Legion the scent from that organic battery. I ride on Beast Legion because my red matter, my Legion charge is fine. What I want to see there is above 115 on my charge. And I throw myself off the ledge to force Hal to call me. This skip is very in-depth. We do arm dashes to get over to this platform, and then do more arm dashes to get across those. Hal calls you again. So the way that this skip works, and the reason that I throw myself off the ledge there, this was all found by Mitchell. The way that this works is once you're a certain distance away from Hal, Hal calls you on a timer. By throwing yourself off the ledge at the start there, we force Hal to call us, and that resets the timer, so that we have enough time to do all of that movement that we want to do before Hal calls us again. It's very, very tight. It's a very, very tight window to get through all of that movement. Because if Hal calls you when you're on those platforms that disappear underneath you, you just fall. So that skip is very precise. It's something to practice a lot. But it's all based upon forcing Hal to call us at a certain point so that the timer is set up properly so that we can actually do that movement the way that we want to. Here, I chainbind both Proto-Legions, I power charge Fishy Water and Round Sword. Normally, I target the Proto-Legion that's right in front of me. For some reason, the game wanted to target the one that was behind it. It didn't make much of a difference outside of the fact that that baton sink at the end whiffed. And then, after I do the full baton combo with the sinks, I switch to Gladius and use Gladius to finish off the Proto-Legion that lives. And that is the end of File 5. Again, it's a pretty scary file. There's quite a few things that are difficult. Beast Legion is a technical fight that's hard, and when you mess it up, he gets across the platform and you lose quite a bit of time for it. And Drone 2 skip is one of the hardest skips in the entire run. But it's a very important skip. It skips a fight, it skips a puzzle, makes the movement quite a bit faster, saves over a minute. It's very good. And then here at the start of this file, it asks us to read stuff, but we don't have to. You just back out, wait for Hal's voice lines to run out, and then go to the heliport. And now we have to talk to Hal, who, despite not fixing both times that we've run into him, because we have ways of bypassing it, Hal's our best friend. And we pick the bottom dialogue option there because it saves time, it's faster. And then we have to pick all of those dialogue options, and then it's 3 more sets of dialogue, and then a cutscene that you can skip, and then teleport to the garage. Mariana, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then we leave from the garage, and we have the return of Red Light Skip, which we saw earlier in File 3. Basically do it the exact same way. Just switch to Aero Legion and Gun at the start of this file. Or as we fade in here, I switch to Aero Legion, then switch to Gun, turn my back to this traffic and then do the sync to get above that red light. That we don't have to... Wait. Why do we even help Hal in this file? I don't know. We're putting our life and our job on the line for a guy that we've just ditched both times that we've seen him. It's kind of crazy. Also, I didn't talk about Beast Legion movement at all. Beast Legion is fast. It's very good. He's slower than doing arm dashes, but the upside to Beast Legion is the fact that he doesn't drain as much charge. At that vending machine, I buy 3 fishy waters. We slash through that door to open it. Then I get back on Beast to hit this ladder. But Beast Legion is the Legion that we use during longer stretches of movement. Otherwise, we're using Arm Legion for those short bursts where we're doing those back-to-back dashes in a row. And now we have the first stealth section of the run, and we are indeed very, very stealthy. So we get on Beast here and do the auto-bind prompt that comes up when you like run up to someone's back. You get a prompt to just hit ZL and bind them. Run through there and don't get caught, and then run up to this corner and switch to Arrow Legion to bind that officer. If that officer spots you before you're able to get into the corner, it gives you a dialogue prompt, and you just pick the bottom option that says let's force our way through, and then you can chain bind him. I believe it was Cap who found that positioning where that officer can't actually see you. It's very, very smart. And then here we go into the second part of the stealth section, which is significantly less stealthy. There's an officer that just is walking forward. Hal tells us to try not to get caught. We ignore him completely and just run forward. And then let's break our way through and get back on Beast Legion and run straight past him.
Jeez, you really prefer the direct approach, don't you? It might not work out so
And now we are in our way
keep a low profile in Zone 09.
into Zone 09. So climb this ladder. I switch to arm. I believe it was Snap who found this movement as well. And we do 2 arm dashes, send the Legion forward, and then arm dash into this platform here. And that triggers this cutscene. Skip the cutscene, do arm dashes to get across this bridge, and then switch to Beast Legion. Mariana does this movement so well. I don't know how he gets on the ladder with Beast Legion the way that he does, but it's actually mind-blowing. And then we talk to the Walking Man here. So there's 3 people we need to talk to. The Walking Man, the older sister, and the older brother. Like the Walking Man's name suggests, he's walking. So we talk to him first, because if we don't talk to him, he keeps walking. So we talk to him first, talk to the older brother, and then we talk to the older sister. The reason that we do it in this order is when you talk to the older sister, when you talk to like younger kids in the game, you do a crouch, and then after talking to them, you get back up. Because that's the last person that we talk to, Hal comes in, and the animation for Hal coming in ends up happening at the same time that we get up from that crouch, so the animations actually play out better that way. Make sure that you don't hit that chair like me. Don't be stupid. Be careful when you're around the corners, because if you hit the chairs, people get mad at you, and it's not good. And then we do a chain jump here. Mariana found this setup, which I kind of messed up. But if you position yourself properly here, as you mash through this dialogue, you can just turn the camera and then immediately send your Legion forward, and it sets the perfect position to eavesdrop here. I ended up running towards the side a little bit as I like tried to turn my camera to make sure that I was in the right spot. But I ended up overdoing it a little bit. And then we climb down this ladder. I switch to Arm Legion and do 3 Arm Legion dashes to get to this vent. Open the vent, switch to Beast Legion, do a slide to get into the vent. And then as we come out this side of the vent, I immediately just start mashing ZL to send Beast Legion so that I can get it over to this pile of debris that we want to dig through. And you can do that slide to get into the vent as the dig is happening, which is nice. It's good. Hitting the chair for strange signal skip. Yep, totally.
Right at the hermit's base. Let's careful though. There's people under us.
The stealth sections in the run are great. And then this is another good bit of downtime. Great time for donations if this was in a marathon. where we have to wait for some dialogue to play. It's also a great time in the run to go take a bathroom break, go grab some water, eat a snack, check Twitter, do whatever.
A little person to person, but generally, one dose is enough to get them fighting fit.
Great. Our missing associate's our only problem. We need info on that.
I'm sorry, sir. I've got everyone on the lookout for intel, but we've come up with nothing.
Think credit says he went through a gate then.
So this is also a good time to talk about how this fight works. This Kyle fight is split into 2 stages. There's a pre-fight where you have to fight 6 hermits, and then you fight Kyle itself. So there's 2 possible ways that this plays out. Either pre-fight for Kyle goes well, or pre-fight for Kyle goes terribly, because there's not really an in-between. What I want to see is we do a fishy water at the start of this fight. I want to have more than 25 seconds on my fishy water when I kill the last hermit. If that happens, I'm in a good spot. I have enough fishy water to take down Kyle. If that doesn't happen, I have to use another fishy water to make sure that I have fishy up for Kyle. If I do have to double fishy, it changes how the drinks play out in the rest of this file. I'll go over that anyways because I had made the mistake earlier in file 4 of using an extra spicy, so I had to do weird stuff here. Power charge and fishy water with beast, and then I do baton combos here. Best case scenario, every single one of these hermits dies in 2 baton combos. Very, very unfortunately there, I got hit by a Molotov cocktail as I went to do the sync that would have killed that hermit. Luckily, the rest of them went down pretty easily. After the second baton combo, you can just power charge again with Sword Legion to get another power charge up. I switched to Beast Legion here, and as I saw ending that pre-fight, I had enough time on my fishy water left. I power charge Howl, switch to Sword Legion, do a Gladius hit, and then do another round sword Gladius hit, and then switch to Baton and do a full Baton combo, and that kills Kyle. That fight goes very, very quickly. The howl that we do there as he comes in actually skips his intro to the fight because it stuns him, so he can't, like, land and do his cool intro. And that also sets us up to just be able to combo him to death there. It's very, very good. And now we have another bit of downtime where we have to wait for Kyle to come and sit down. So I just go through here. I pick up a rare material code here, but that rare material code literally does nothing. There's no reason to pick it up. I just do it because it's there. I also switched to Cream Puff Soda because Cream Puff Soda is the next item that I'm going to be using, so it makes more sense to switch to it here. So that I don't have to worry about switching to it later. And then we wait. Why is our baton so large? So that we can beat all the Chimeras. And now we get to talk to Kyle once he's taken his seat, and then it's just more dialogue to mash through. And as I'm mashing through this dialogue, I'm holding left towards the end of it, so that I do a dodge roll that gets me right in front of this case. So I'm like forward left there, pick up that case, and then do a dodge roll back and get on Beast. And then we just run out. During this loading screen, you can actually turn the camera to put yourself in a better position to run here. And then you just want to run through this. And there's weird spots where like your Beast Legion gets stuck in there, but it's just something that you feel out after a while. And we go basically back down the same way, down this ladder that we took on the way to get to Hermits the first time. I switched to Arm today and did Arm dashes here. Normally I would do Beast Legion movement, but I think Arm Legion's better if I'm just like good at it. Switch back to Beast here. run up this ramp, switch back to Arm, and I do a dash and then send Arm Legion forward. Open this door, and then I power charge Cream Puff Soda. I accidentally canceled the power charge, which is a bit unfortunate. And then chain jump over to this Chimera. Because I saw that I canceled the power charge, I do a power charge here. Normally I would round sword here. That sync brings him to 1 health, so I just miss my Legion there and then do a hit. Because when your Legion is out, you reveal this gate. There's a thing called early gate here. Basically, as we go into that gate, Hal has voice lines there. That gate gets revealed when your Legion gets close enough to it after you've killed that big Chimera. I set myself up so that I don't have my Legion reveal the gate until I'm right next to it, so that I can make sure that I get into the gate as it's being revealed. If you don't get into the gate there, then you have to wait for all of Hal's voice lines to go out. Here we do some more arm dashes. This movement's actually pretty difficult. So I do 2 arm dashes here. Or 1 in this case, because I was already far enough forward. Do a dash off this corner to get over to this side. And then I'm doing, again, mid-air running dodge rolls to have the height that I need. Switch back to Beast Legion, and then here we send Beast Legion, Howl, and Power Charge. Unfortunately, this guy went off the edge, so I couldn't do the Gladius hits that I wanted to do, and I had to gun sync instead. And another sad thing about that is this elevator, which you can get on if you're good on the fight, I ended up missing by a very, very small margin. Missing that doesn't actually matter because I have to wait for it to come back down anyways, so it makes sense to go for that and miss it rather than not go for it at all, because either way you have to wait for the elevator to come back down. I send my Legion and jump through here to make sure that I actually get through in time before that platform blocks it. And I take this jump slightly safer. You don't actually have to do this. But I come over and get on that platform to get a better angle at doing that chain jump, just because I find it more consistent. And then we chain jump up to this enemy. I do a hit to make sure that I'm safe. And then we switch to Arrow Legion. I focus here to slow down time because that one on the outside rim actually moves pretty quickly. Switch back to Beast Legion, ride up to this wall, and then we have to slash this wall with sword. And then I switch back to Beast Legion and get back on Beast. And then I switch back to sword here to hit this platform. I power charge Fishy Water and switch to Beast. And I do another power charge here as this goes in to make sure that I am in power charge. Ride on Beast, switch to sword and round sword. And then what I want to do here is baton combo, because each of these die in 1 hit of the sync, but I just kept getting hit out of my sync every single time that I was just about to do the sync, which was a bit unfortunate. Not a good pre-fight. And then I wait a little bit here and then power charge as Tartarus comes in to spawn. That timing is just something I've used to now. I've internalized it. I round sword here, and then I see here that he's going for the big supernova attack thing where he just explodes. So I just stayed behind him and did Gladius hits the entire time. What you can do is chainbind Tartarus at the start. I personally don't, but you can if you want to. And then run over to Douglas and make sure that the camera's on Douglas as well, because the camera being on Douglas... the camera being on Douglas makes sure that Hal doesn't talk there. Normally, if you're too far away from Douglas, Hal will be oh, now you gotta go find Douglas, go help him. But by ending in that position and making sure that the camera is on Douglas, Hal doesn't actually do that. I send my Legion here, power charge, Fishy Water, round sword. So in the case that I had to use another Fishy Water on Kyle, here I would spicy Cobra or Sweet Peach Soup. Because I wouldn't have the Fishy to use. And then baton combos basically just kill everything for this Hermit Operations fight. Switch back to Beast Legion and run up to hit this ladder. Would it be possible to slash those cubes? I'm actually not sure. At the distance that they're at, the slash might miss, but I'm not sure. I haven't actually tried it. So that is definitely something to look at. And then here we ride Beast, and I power charge here as these enemies spawn in. These flying chimeras can be pretty big trolls, depending on what they want to do. They can just fly to the back corner, like one of them does here, and then you can't actually hit it. So like, I just can't hit it with my shots. I can't hit it with Beast Legion, so I just switched to Sword Legion here, because my gunshots do more damage when Sword Legion's out, because we've built Sword Legion more. And Sword Legion Gunsync is also better than Beast Legion Gunsync. Really just ignore all these enemies like that. Yes. Skip anything that's optional. Here we have to trigger that wall to come forward, and then we change up over to this platform. Pick up some red matter. I switch to Arm Legion here, because we're going to do some Arm Legion dashes. I also make sure I'm on Gladius. And I also switch to Cream Puff Soda. So here, because I used an extra spicy Cobra in File 4, I had to Cream Puff Soda the Great Sword Chimera that's coming up. Normally, I would Spicy Cobra this fight. Again, because I accidentally used the extra spicy, I don't have it. I would also Cream Puff this fight if I ended up using the double fishy on Kyle, because then I spicy the Hermit Aberration fight, and then I would Cream Puff here, because again, I'm down to spicy. If that makes sense. I hope that made sense. And then here, Gladius combos to kill this Great Sword Chimera. Switch to Arm, do dashes to get off this ledge, and then I switch to Beast here, and run. And we hit a vending machine here. So this vending machine, we want to buy 3 fishy waters, and we want to sell all of the salvage items that we have that are on this first page. So I do an up input, I hit X to sell multiple, and I just go all the way up to the top without scrolling up anymore, and I sell everything that's there. This is to make sure that we have enough money at the start of the next file to do the baton upgrades that we want to do. Then we ride on Beast here, and talk to Douglas. Pick up the stuff that's on the ground here, and then go out to analyze this security camera. It's very, very, very important here. It's very, very important here that we do not close Iris. Looking for 28k? Yes. Yes, I want 28 or 29. You get like 13k to 14k from finishing this file. And you need to have 42,000 to get, you need 42,000 to get all the upgrades that we want to do. So I want to end this vending machine, that sell menu I just did, with 28 or 29,000. If I see that I'm below that, what I do here, because this is a timed section where we're just waiting for the homunculus to spawn in. If I realize that I'm low on money, what I would do is switch to Arm Legion and kill the aberrations that are constantly spawning in the center to farm items. And then when you go to the room to upgrade your baton, you can talk to Ted instead and do a sell menu at Ted and sell the items to get the money that you need. Here on this voice line, I power charge and fishy water before the fight so I don't have to do it in the fight. And then we do a running dodge roll to get through that swing, do a full baton combo on this front leg, and then dismiss Legion. And I switched to arrow today. You don't have to switch to arrow there. I switched to arrow normally after I bind that first leg, because again, arrow moves faster, but you can do that first bind with sword. And then, unfortunately, I got like stuck on his face here, and I couldn't close his bind for a few seconds. It was a bit unfortunate. Switch back to Sword Legion, power charge, and do 3 or 4 hits, dodge roll, round sword, finish the baton combo, because the dodge roll stores your position in the combo because the dodge offset. And after the sync, I dodge roll and switch to Gladius, and then kill with that. And that is the end of File 6. And now we go into File 7. This, as well, was another very bad file in this run. I lost quite a bit of time, and it was all due to one fight, Kelaino, which is the worst fight in the run. Kelaino sucks. It's terrible. It's a bad fight. Makes me want to cry. File 7 is a lot like File 3 in the way that it starts. It's a lot of mashing. So unlike every other file in the run except for file 1, the file doesn't start with a cutscene that you can skip. It's just a section of mashing that you have to go through, which kind of sucks because mashing hurts my hand. But we just mash through all this all this dialogue with A and B, and we are in jail now because we helped Hal and went off the grid and all that stuff. And then we get 2 phone calls here. The first one is from Olive, the second one is from Hal. We just don't pick up either of the phone calls. There's no reason to. And then after this, we have more to mash through. File 7 feels like the fastest pace in a casual playthrough. It's a very short file, that's for sure. I think in terms of the speed run, it is the... is file 10 is faster... File 11 is fast, or file 10 is faster, file 9 is faster, file 1 is faster, and file, yeah, that's it. File 1's the shortest file. File 8 is also very short. Here we do 3 baton upgrades, and so we need 42,000 in order to afford these upgrades. And this actually gets us a bunch of stuff that we can do. The 2 meaningful things that we get out of this are Assault Command and Somersault. Blanked on the name for a second. Both of which are good. We also just get increased damage because we're doing those upgrades. That's the last time that we upgrade Baton in the run as well. And now we are going to basically the same place that we were in File 1. It's that same, like, opening area section, this highway.
Okay, you made it. Should have made it to the homunculus by now. Hurry over there. That is a lot of
Here, there's apparitions that'll just endlessly spawn in. You can kill them if you want to. I used to grind items here to sell for later, but we don't actually do another sell menu anymore, so it doesn't actually matter. But yeah, we just have to wait until Homunculus fires its lasers so that we can get through. And then we tank this hit, because you don't want to dodge it, and then just dash through. Oh yeah, on Ultimate you can't. on higher difficulties you can't, that's for sure. On casual you can, because it doesn't hit hard at all. Here I switched to sword. I switched to spicy, or sweet peach in this case, because I don't actually have any spices, because again I accidentally used an extra spicy. And I claim Accord and Complicit. You can claim Siege and Complicit, it's one less input. Which is what I would normally go for. The reason we do that is it gets us 3 rare material codes and a premium material code, which we need for this Legion learning menu. I unlock the left side, get the defense 5%, get the auto bind, go to the right here with the analog stick and get perfect call, and go down right with the analog stick to unlock this to get the 2 attack 10%. And then as soon as I hit A to decide that, it's very important that you do hit A, otherwise it undoes that upgrade. You can close the menu with minus. Talk to Akira, hurry ahead. And then I switch to Sword Legion here because we have to slash a wall. And dodge roll to get over that trigger that would normally slow you down and make you walk. Switch back to Beast and climb this ladder.
It must be the homunculus. It's heading towards Main Street. I'm not getting any signal that looks like Jenna.
And then here I power charge, Sweet Peach Seep, switch to sword and round sword. And I dodge rolled here and did a perfect dodge attack, which wasn't really necessary. I'm not sure why I did it this time because I don't normally do it. And then just gun combos to kill the rest. I power charge as I see that this enemy's coming in. And I tried to pre-fire on it. And you can either do what we did in File 4, where we did aerial Gladius combos on this larger flying Chimera, or you can just do gun. Either one works. But then I switched to arrow here to shoot this bulb that's on the thing, and that gets rid of the poisonous gas that would be spawning. Switch to Arm Legion, and I kill these two aberrations because they are annoying if you don't kill them. And then we do a thing called Richard Skip. So this skip has gone through many iterations. So what I do here is an assault command, which is you do back, forward, and then hit ZR, and I do that twice. And that gets Arm Legion up to the top, where you can chain jump to it and do the midair running dodge roll to get over the bridge. And what that does is it skips the fight where we would have to save Richard, and then after that fight we would lower the drawbridge to be able to progress. But we can just skip that entirely. And then here I send my Legion forward and howl to stun Kelaino, switch to Sword Legion and power charge, and I do some gunshots here. And then I chain jump up to my Legion and do Gladius hits to force Kelaino to the HP gate, and I switch back to Beast Legion. The reason that I howl there is so that Kelaino doesn't get an attack out. The way that this fight works is that first phase ends when Kelaino is not in an attack and you hit the HP gate. By doing that howl, I'm ensuring that Kelaino does not do an attack. Because if Kelaino starts an attack and then hits the HP gate, you have to wait for Kelaino to finish her attack. And this is where things went really poorly. So I run forward here, and I power charge and Fishy, switch to Sword Legion and Round Sword, and I want to kill these smaller flying chimeras so that I don't have to deal with like my targeting getting really weird later on when I'm trying to combo Kelaino. And here's where I made a bad decision. So I power charge here, chain jump up, and I do Gladius hit and then baton combo, and then switch back to Gladius to hit. What Kelaino did here is, one, really unlucky, is she spawned in the next wave extremely early, way earlier than I've ever had her do in a run before, and I thought I could still target her. So for like 20 or so seconds, I was just trying to target her, trying to hit her with Arrow Legion. What I should have been doing here is just killing these flying chimeras to make it so that I could actually target Kelaino again. But I was mad, and I had never been in that situation before, because I've never ever had Kelaino spawn the next wave of enemies in that early, and it was kind of ridiculous that she did. And then again, I just tried to get up to her and hit her with Gladius hits, but I lost like 30 or 40 seconds here. Normally, on a good fight, I end with 30 seconds still on Fishy Water, so it was very unfortunate.
And you're no worse for wear.
I lost a ton of time there,
Safe zone is clear.
but
Follow that homunculus.
it is what it is.
That was way too close. Don't let it get away.
And now, we have to wait for Homunculus to do his, like, yell here to open this section up. Unfortunately, I was at the wrong angle and I slid into the wall there instead of sliding under the gap. Yeah, Kelaino was the single biggest time loss in the entire run. Just in terms of, like, a one fight time loss. I think I lost more time overall in File 4. But yeah. And then we want to slash through that line. I ended up getting like perfect dodge hits that wouldn't let me slash. And then we want to kill these two. And as I kill these, I try to power charge so that I can chain jump to this specific Chimera. This is the one that gets shielded by the Arrow Legion shield generating Chimera, the one that flies up into the air that you have to hit with Arrow Legion. And then I would normally try to target the other Chimera that's next to it, but I ended up targeting the other shield generating Chimera and hitting the crystal behind it, which blew that up. the goal there is to make it so that those shield generating chimeras can't shield anything because those things are dead. But I accomplished that in the same way by doing what I did there and killing that other shield generating chimera so that it couldn't shield the other chimera. Here we switch to Arm Legion, and again we're gonna tank a hit. So just put Arm on so that you can tank that hit, and then dash forward, and I cycle through all my legions to get back to Arm Legion because that gets rid of the delay that you would normally have when Arm's opening the door. And then I dodge roll there because there's a thing that hits you from above there if you're slightly slow, which I was. Switch back to Beast, and I jump here to trigger this next set of voice lines earlier. And then here I wait specifically, so you can see there's like a line here on this curb that you don't want to pass it until the heavy assault captain has said damn it. As soon as he finishes saying that, you can go past it, and that instantly triggers the cutscene where Homunculus grabs the helicopter and does all of this stuff. If you go too early, what happens instead is the heavy assault captain asks you to go back and rescue the other people who have fallen down, so you just want to make sure that you don't actually go too early there. Yeah, I'm 30 olive cases in. I'll finish post-game at some point, probably, maybe. And then here we ride on Beast again and do a slide to get under this gap. And then get back on Beast Legion, and I pull up Iris here. And what I'm looking for here is for these aberrations on the left side to round that corner. And when that does happen, we switch to Sword. This was found by Xeno. And we hit our the right joystick to focus, which slows down time. And we do dodges. Because time is slowed down, those aberrations can't catch up to us, and that lets us get into the elevator without having to fight those aberrations. Because they aren't close enough to you to stop the elevator from closing like they normally would be. If you are slightly too early on going into Sword Legion and the aberrations do follow you, because they haven't rounded the corner, you can slash at them with Sword Legion through the wall. This fight was really good. So what I do here is I howl this Arrow Proto Legion, Power Charge Sweet Peach Soup, switch to Sword, Round Sword, and I do an Assault command with the sync there. If that hits Blindside, it kills. If not, then you need one hit in the air. And then I go for a Gladius combo, and luckily I was able to get that whole thing out. Then I Power Charge and do other Gladius combos. I accidentally switched targets when I didn't mean to. And then on this guy, I just tried to do more Gladius hits. I got very lucky with the way that they moved around there. I switched to Fishy Water so that I don't have to switch to it when I'm doing Homunculus here. And here I Round Sword, Fishy Water, and then I Power Charge, and I do a running dodge roll to get through that hit, and then do Gladius hits here. You can do Assault commands as well. You just want to do enough damage to force the next phase. And then here I try to turn the camera and walk to the right so that I send my Legion up to hit his arm. Unfortunately, he did the attack where he swings his arm, which makes it so that you can't actually get up to his arm. So then I have to use Air Legion to shoot his arm instead. I Power Charge Round Sword and then do Gladius hits on this arm here. What you want to make sure is you're not hitting his legs here, because if you hit the legs or his head, he ends up like wanting to get up. And then I switch to Baton here to be able to break his leg when he is standing up to delay him a little bit more. I switched to Cream Puff because we need to use a Cream Puff soda on cleanup in this next file. And it's better to take the downtime here and switch to it than to have to switch to it and clean up. But I just don't have to think about it. All of the time loss that I had in this file was because of Kelaino. Everything else in the file was good. But that's all just Kelaino. And I probably would have lost more time if Proto Legions hadn't gone the way that they did, because those Proto Legions were really, really good. But I'm almost certain I lost like 40 or 45 to Kelaino compared to my gold. As opposed to the 32 that are seen here because of how good the gate fight and Proto Legions were. Here we buy 3 Spicy Cobras and 3 Sweet Peach Soups, restocking our drinks. And then we teleport to the heliport. Now we have, we're going into Cleanup, which is the single biggest movement section in the entire run. It's very fun. I like it. When I started learning the run, I thought I was going to hate it. It's actually one of my favorite parts in the entire run. It's really, really cool. It's an awesome section. It's very hard to do quickly, but it's a fun section, that's for sure. And it looks awesome when it does go the way it's supposed to. So here, again, I dodge roll to cancel that delay from the phone call, switch to Beast Legion, and we're riding back to basically where we just were, that elevator that takes us up to the top here. You want to make sure that you don't hit any of the shopping carts or like water containers there, because Akira gets mad at you and he's like, hey, what are you doing? It's bad. Yes, I do. Oh man, the Dark Ages. Tom, good morning. I hope you had a good sleep. Thank you for the good luck. So then here, as I come down, I switch to Arm Legion, so that I can do these dashes here, because it's faster than riding on Beast Legion. And then I do 3Y inputs to switch to Arrow Legion. We pick up this red matter and chain jump over to this side, pick up this red matter, pick up the red matter on the way to this platform, chain jump to it, pick up the red matter there with arrows, switch to Arm Legion, and pull the platform forward. And we tank that ball with Arm Legion. Then I switch back to Arrow and move up to the edge of this platform so that I actually can bind that gate. Switch to Arm Legion, and chain jump off here. I accidentally got my Legion stuck on the wall, which is a bit unfortunate, because getting that chain jump is good. Falling isn't the worst thing in the world, it just sets you back a little bit. The way that Cleanup's percentage works here is every time that you finish off a section of red matter, it increases by 4%. So you want to like pay attention to the percentage every time that you finish a section, as the game considers it, so that you know that you haven't missed something. Destroying a gate also increases it by 4%. I pick up all the red matter here, close this gate, and then here I pick up the rest of the red matter that's down here. If I'd gotten the chain jump at the start and hadn't fallen, I would have picked all of this up before I went up into the upper section. Switch to Arm here, and then pick up the red matter that's behind me, pick up the red matter up here, move Arm to the side, and then call Arm to me to pick up the one that's in that corner. I pick all of this up with Arm dashes, switch to Arrow Legion here. There's 2 ways to do this. You can either move Arrow back to you manually like I did here, or you can just call Arrow back and move it forward again. I alternate between the two. And then I switch to Arrow here to bind this gate. Unfortunately, my chain just like phased through that gate for some reason the first time around. And then switch back to Arm to do dashes, switch to Arrow again to pick this up, switch to Arm here again to do more dashes, slide under this pipe, send Legion to pick that red matter up, switch back to Arrow. I do a Cream Puff here. Cream Puff Soda here gives you armor, which negates the knockback from the balls. I believe Mariana's the person who found this, because Mariana's a genius. And that just lets you tank all of the balls on your own, so that you don't have to worry about getting knocked off. And then just throw yourself off the side on that last one, because it's faster to fall than it is to actually make it back here. And then slide back under the pipe, pick up this red matter, pick up the red matter that's in the corner there, call my Legion back, and then pick up the rest with Arrow Legion. And the goal here is to get into this gate before Akira calls you at 9 minutes. And then here I ride forward on Beast and power charge Sweet Peach Soup, target the big Beast Chimera and Round Sword. And I just want to baton combo him. And then here, going to the next wave, I power charge again, and I want to baton combo this big slime here. And then each of the little slimes die to one hit of the sink, so you can target switch and kill them that way. Unfortunately, I missed this last one, which was sad. And then I used Beast here at the end. I power charge with Beast so that I have it up for the next wave. Switch to Gladius and Sword Legion. And then I do Gladius combos. And I accidentally did a delay sync. And that was, like, actually perfect. And I might do that on purpose now. I've never done that on purpose. But because Beast Legion didn't move and they were lined up properly, all the hits of the delay sync ended up hitting both, and it did a lot. But that was completely accidental. And now we are going to follow Axe Legion and Max's Legatus. So here I switched to Spicy because I want a spicy Axe Legion, and it makes sense to switch to it here instead of doing it later because there's downtime there. And then Arm Dash here. Cap is the person who started adding Arm Dashes back into this section. There's a very specific path that we have to take here. Because there are certain points that you have to hit in order for walls to be destroyed. So you kind of just want to watch the path that I'm taking and follow that if you are learning the run. It's easy to get lost down here and go the wrong way. But it's not bad. And again, some more downtime, just easy movement. And I switched to Arm Legion here to do more dashes. And then again, Arm Legion dashes at the end here. And you just like kind of do these blind, just hugging the wall to get in. And then get into the gate here. And now we're in the Astral Plane. This Astral Plane is actually really cool. It has a lot of intricate movement that skips quite a few things. So here, I switched to Arm Legion. I do 3 dashes, and then a 4th dash off this platform, and change up to it, and do the mid-air running dodge roll that I have been doing. I do another 2 here, and then change up to my Legion and get on this platform, and then do a dash back to change jump over to here, so that we don't have to move any of those blocks. I switched to Beast to run up here, do 3 Y inputs to switch to Arm, do 2 dashes, change them to my Legion, and then dash onto this platform. That's, that movement specifically, that variation of it, is something that Leon found, I believe. It was originally, this skips a fight that would happen on this platform, that's why we're doing this movement this way. Because we don't touch that platform, the fight never spawns in. I believe it was Mitchell who found the fight skip originally, but Leon's movement there is very good. I don't know who found this version of puzzle skip. So basically, the way that this works is when you walk forward far enough here, it does a cutscene where like a bunch of blocks appear in front of you, and you can't just pull this block up to the button, and you have to do puzzles to remove the wall. But you can just chain jump past the cutscene trigger so that you never actually get that wall built at all. And it's really fast, and it makes that like super free. And we don't have to do any of the 3 puzzles as a result. And then here, I power charge Spicy Cobra and switch to Sword Legion and Round Sword. And I switch to Gladius as well. And I see that Axe Legion's coming forward here. So I do an Assault Command, Sync, and then Gladius hit, Baton hit, 2 Gladius hits, dismiss my Legion, power charge again, and then do Blindside Gladius combo. And this takes out X. But that was a very good fight. Axe wasn't able to really do anything after he came forward, which is nice. That's what I want to see. As long as I handle the fight properly, Axe can't really do that. Oh, Xeno, yeah. So Mitchell originally found Puzzle Skip with another way that we used to do it, which was we'd have the wall come up, and then we'd like maneuver the block around the wall so that we could still get it to the back, and then Xeno just one day was like, oh, you can just like not hit the cutscene trigger at all. And it's so much easier that way as well. And it's faster because you don't have to sit through the cutscene, and you're also just going in a straight line instead of the weird zigzaggy thing that we used to do as well. And now we're on our way into File 9. File 9's a hard file. It's difficult. There's a lot of combat here, and it also has, in my opinion, the most difficult astral plane in the entire run. Being the astral plane to get to Homunculus Egg, which I will talk about when we get there. But it's a very hard file. It's very easy to mess up movement here. There's a lot of hard fights that punish you extremely hard when they do go wrong. It's rough. It's a very rough file. It's also my favorite file in the game, probably. This and File 11 are my two favorite files. It's just very cinematic, a lot of boss fights, a lot of cool combat. In the run itself, there's a lot of cool strats that we do. The astral plane, the File 9 astral plane is actually my favorite astral plane in the entire run. It's the hardest in the entire run, but it's also my favorite just because of how cool all of the skips are. It's so great. Yeah, so now we're going into Homunculus Delta, is the last homunculus fight if you don't count Egg as a homunculus. I power charge Fishy Water, and I do a running dodge roll to try and get through that laser, but I mistimed it. I round sword here and do gun attacks on his head, and then I perfect dodge attacked, but I didn't switch to Gladius in time. And then you want to Gladius hit his arm, and power charge and do a Gladius combo on his head. And with the way that we have this set up, I'm able to just do some gunshots after, and that brings Homunculus Delta to 1 HP. You can't actually kill him here, because he has this scripted sequence where he like brings you up into the air and all of that stuff. So the most that you can do is bring him to 1 HP, and then that lets you here just mash out a gunshot, and he instantly dies, which is great. And then I also, again, like I have been doing, preemptively switch to Sweet Peach Soup, because I'm going to be using Sweet Peach Soup for Homunculus Egg and for Jenna 1. Now this is File 9 Astral Plane. This is a very, very hard astral plane. Greg, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. So starting off here, I'm going to try and give credit to everybody who found stuff for this as well. I dodge roll to the left, chain jump here, and then do arm dashes across these platforms. Then this was found by Mitchell. It's the first block skip that we do. We chain jump on top of this block, and then dash and chain jump up to this ledge to push our Legion up to the top here, so that we can just chain jump up to our Legion afterwards, and it skips detonating the block. This was found by Mariana. So I do a dash, a very, very tiny dash, let myself fall down a little bit, and then chain jump to my Legion. And then we also can do that chain jump, and that lets us dash behind the wall, which Xeno had found originally. And then this setup that I do here is found by Alkratz. So switch to Gun and Beast, and do a full gun combo with the sync, and then switch to Gladius, and do the Gladius hits, and the sync, and then switch to Arrow to pull the Legion over to the block, and then chain jump up to it and do a midair dodge roll to get into it. And then switch to Arm to get over there. It's some of the hardest skips, and doing them all back to back makes this astral plane a nightmare, especially because with like the first set of skips, if you miss one, you can't go for any of the subsequent skips because of the positioning. I Sweet Peach there, chain jump up to my Legion here. This is Mariana's strat, which is brilliant. and then I round sword, power charge, do a full baton combo. My PB is a 240-217. Yeah, it was a 240-217. I made goal splits of a 242 flat because I didn't want to compare against PB. And then I switched to arrow, and I try to gunshot these targets while I'm in the air. Unfortunately, I had a bit of trouble targeting what I wanted to there because there's a lot of stuff here. And then I switched to axe to put a shield up around myself so that things don't hit me out. But unfortunately, I didn't really get the shield. And you want to make your way over to this gate before they call you so that you can actually get in before the phone call. I was a little too slow there, so I ended up getting called, which is yucky. It's not good. And now we have Jenna 1. I also ended up losing time to Jenna 1. So what I do here is I try to chain bind Jenna, and somehow the chain ended up behind her. And then, yeah, so I want to chain bind her here so that she can't do anything. Power charge, Sweet Peach Soup, Round Sword, and Gladius combo her back. And then the rest of the fight is we just have to wait for her voice lines to run out, basically. And what I do to deal with that is I chain bind Jenna when I get close to the end of the fight, and then put Round Sword up, which I actually didn't do this time because I got the chain bind late, so I just opted to shoot her instead. Have my Legion next to her. Yeah, Axe is very good when maxed out. In terms of the any percent run, we use Sword just because it's the earliest Legion we get, and it's also like it's a really good Legion damage wise as well, so it makes sense to stack everything on Sword. And now here we have Cryus. Shout out to the Logimus Prime for suggesting Arrow Legion on Cryus. Because Arrow Legion on Cryus is faster than Sword Legion on Cryus. It's wild. Arrow Legion is like... Arrow Legion's insane how good it is in bike section. I don't know why. I don't know why it's so good, but they just made Arrow Legion incredible here. Which is, like, completely different from how it is combat-wise everywhere else in the run, where he's terrible. But, yeah, Arrow Legion is very good here. I believe so, yeah. I believe all, I haven't watched, like, the ILs that I have seen that Leon has done, it's pretty much all Axe Legion. I haven't watched any of the NG Plus, like, casual runs. But I know Snap and Leon have both done runs of it, and I assume it's all Axe Legion. Because Axe Legion and Gladius combos are crazy when Axe Legion is fully maxed out. No! Ew, don't do that. No. Don't you get the money from your packs on, like, Friday? Just wait until Friday and then get P5R. NG Plus friends are really unoptimized? Ah, I see. So basically, the way that Arrow Legion works here, is when you, like, send it forward, it's kind of like a drill, where it does this, like, woo, spinny thing, and then it, like, shoots little things out. And it's hard to describe when you want to send Arrow Legion, just, like, with words. But it's something to practice, just the timing of it. My timing for it on Cryus wasn't actually very good. And then here we want to stay towards the back, which I watched Cap do this. It's very smart, where if you're positioned properly, Arrow Legion still gets like blindside damage on the last hits there. Pretty good. And then here, we just kill with more Arrow Legion and our gunshots. But my Cryus itself was pretty bad. I was off on my send timing, so the way that Cryus attacks, right? Where he has those two attacks that he does where he comes forward towards you, and it hits your Legion away. If you send your Legion properly, you're able to get your Legion behind him there and go for blindside damage, as opposed to just getting your Legion hit away and it getting dismissed. Unfortunately, my timing for sending my Legion here was not very good. It's a bit similar to Sword, yeah. So unfortunately, I was a bit off here, and it means that Cryus ended up getting an extra attack out. With a good fight here, Cryus will immediately laser after he does this attack, and then you kill him when he goes to laser as well. Unfortunately, he got an extra attack out because he had extra health, and then I also ended up taking a hit from the laser because, again, I was under on damage. But this was sloppy. And now we have Jenna 2. So Jenna 2 here, we switch to Beast Legion and send Beast Legion to Howl. I switched to Gladius and I switched to Sword to do a Somersault, which is a move that you do against a stunned enemy by just doing a normal attack. And then the Sync drags down. I Power Charge, Fishy Water, Round Sword, and I hit with Gladius, switch to Baton and do one hit, and then do a full Gladius combo. Unfortunately, I was a bit late on calling my Legion to me, so I needed an extra hit there to kill, because I wasn't getting full Round Sword damage, and my Legion also didn't get the hit off that I needed it to. But normally that kills if it's all blindside. And we have Jenna 3 coming up. Jenna 3 is scary, and it didn't go the best in my run today, but it also could have been worse. So I turned the camera to the left at the very beginning so I can do this chain jump. And then we Power Charge, and I Round Sword here, I believe. Actually, no, I got a perfect dodge sync, never mind. And I just did Gladius hits. Normally I would Round Sword. That was a weird opening. And then I switched to Arm and Gun. And the reason I do that is because I'm going to be using Gun on Jenna 3 and Arm Legion for movement to get over to Jenna. And so I do Arm Dashes here, and then I send my Legion forward and chain jump to it. And then I Power Charge with Beast, drink the Fishy Water, switch to Sword Legion and Round Sword, and do gunshots on Jenna. And then I see that Jenna's going to slam down on me, so I switch to Gladius and go for a perfect dodge there to hit her hands. And then I go for gunshots, I Power Charge again, and Jenna does a move here where she comes forward and, like, spits out balls at me. And in a perfect world, I would have just done enough damage with the Gladius combo there to force her. But I was like 100 damage under, which is one Gladius hit away. And she ended up killing my Legion as a result, which made the end of this very slow because I don't have my Legion up. So then here I Power Charged, and then shot. Right by P4 Vanilla and P3 FES on PS3? Ooh, interesting. And then as I hit that platform, I just mash ZL because that instantly makes you do the jump, and then mash A to get through the case completion. And now we have a fusion section where this is one of the best parts of the run. You just get to beat Akira up. The game wants you to like wiggle the analog sticks and not hurt Akira, but it's actually faster to just let yourself beat him up. It's also fun to watch Akira get beat up, because he kind of deserves it, too.
Stop! Please! Come on! Control yourself!
Alright. And now we're going to file 10, which is a fun file. It's definitely a fun file. DM'd on Discord? Okay, I can take a look when I get a chance. It's a fun file. It's a bit spooky. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. But I hope all of that goes alright. And now here we back out from the reading again, like we did in, what file was it? File 6? Yeah, file 6. We back out of reading. Because we don't actually have to watch, or don't actually have to read anything there. We can just back out of it. And then here, it's dialogue mashing. And you want to pick, on this last one, just mash B. Because that breaks out of it. And that gives you a cutscene to skip. And then, here, we restock Fishy Waters and Sweet Peach Soups. And then warp outside with Lappy fast travel. And I switch to Beast here, and we ride Beast through this section. Can stop Akira though? Oof. And then here, we have to do 2 cases. So one of them is a gate disposal, which I switched to Sword Legion so I can send it and then just close the gate like that. As opposed to Arrow Legion send, which is really bad. And then we take this, looking for trouble fight against these thugs. And I get an instant bind here that I wasn't looking for. But what I want to do is Howl Power Charge, switch to Sword Legion, and do an Assault Command Sync there. And then, that would normally kill because it launches up the guy in the middle. Because he was in the bind, he doesn't actually get launched up, which is a bit unfortunate. But it is what it is. And then we have the detector that we do here. So there's a cutscene that plays as you come through here, which we can skip, and then we get back on Beast Legion. Dismiss the Legion and repair this. And basically just use Sword to clean up all of these enemies. You don't want to power charge a round sword here because doing that pulls you off of the detector and it stops you from repairing it. So then you have to like get back on the detector to repair again, which kind of sucks. And then this last wave gets a bit weird because there's one big shield Chimera that you have to fight against. Which you can do the same kind of thing that I was talking about before with moving your Legion after it does the spin so that it restarts the combo. But sometimes the Legion just doesn't want to like swing at this enemy. It's a bit unfortunate. And other times you accidentally call your Legion to you every time that you try to move it, like I did today. Makes it slow, and then I had to chain jump over to my Legion to kill this. With a good fight, you kill with your Legion on its own before you finish repairing.
Okay, there.
Switch back to Beast. I also switched to Sweet Peach Soup here because I need to be on it for the next fight. Because I don't actually have enough time to switch to it here. And this, we have to chain bind this thief here. So I switch to Arrow Legion as I get up here. Do the chain bind, drink the Sweet Peach Soup, and switch to Arm Legion. And I believe it was Snap who found this Arm Legion grab, if I'm not mistaken. But you just mash ZL here, and sometimes Arm Legion will grab this enemy before it can go underground. I accidentally did a delay sync, which wasn't great. I like to power charge on this first enemy so that I have it up for these next two. And then I send my Legion forward and howl as these enemies spawn in. Switch to Sword and do an Assault Command sync. And then I accidentally do a Somersault sync here. Isn't what I wanted, but it was fine. And then switch back to Beast. And then here, as I like round this corner and go through this door, I jump to hit this cutscene earlier. back on Beast, and we have to go down to Olive, because Olive is trying to go find Brenda, her best friend. And I switched to Arm to do arm dashes to get over to her. Skip the cutscene here, and then go in. And this is the last stealth section of the run. It's a lot more in-depth than the previous stealth section, but it's also something that we kind of just, like, blaze through. So I switched to Beast here. Grab this ladder, go down it, switch back to Beast, and then do the auto-bind behind this guard.
Use your iris to check the officer's position.
Then, right up to here, switch to Arrow Legion and chain jump across this gap. And then chain jump over to this ladder. Switch to Arm Legion because I want to dash when I get off this ladder. Dash forward, dash right, get on the next ladder. And then you can do 2 dashes to just completely get onto this platform because the other officer is looking behind you. Like behind us on the other side. If you're on a good cycle. And then Arrow Legion to bind these two. And then I switch back to Beast Legion to use this. And then something that looks spooky, but is actually free, thanks to Cap, is you just run up to this ladder and grab it. And that last officer spots you, but the failing of the stealth mission gets canceled out by the fact that you grabbed the ladder. So as long as you're on a good cycle for stealth, you can do that and get on for free.
Iris, startup. Iris, shut down. Something wrong. The whole facility feels unstable. Not to worry. Even I can.
And now here, I power charge Sweet Peach Soups and switch to Sword Legion. And do gunshots here. And then I do 2 Gladius hits to kill each of these enemies. Again, target switching to try and avoid the finish off. After I kill the second one, I power charge again. And then we use gun to kill all of these other aberrations that spawn in. And you want to like position your Legion in a place where when you do the gun sync, it'll actually hit stuff. Because that's always good. Get back on Beast to ride into the next fight, and then again power charge Sweet Peach Soup. And then switch to Sword, and I round sword here, which I couldn't get the round sword out at the start, unfortunately. And again, this is a place where it's very hard to target switch properly because of how fast things die, but every time that you can do it right, it's good. And then here I power charge again, get ready to baton combo. Unfortunately, this big red slime just wanted to dodge back at the very beginning, and I also got frozen here. Or no, I didn't get frozen, I had to dodge to avoid it. And now, we mash through Brenda's dialogue and switch to Arm Legion. And here we have a thing called Officer Skip, where if you clip out of the staircase properly, those 3 officers that are on the right side, which would normally come... oh, did I call all of Brenda? Oops. Those officers that would normally come up we don't actually get because we clip out of the staircase. Switch to Axe Legion and use a Fishy Water. Chain jump to my Legion and power charge. And I'm supposed to somersault there, but I did an assault command sync on accident. Which ended up doing more damage, and it might be worthwhile to just do that in general. But yeah, because it accomplishes the same thing, where it brings Kronos back down to the ground, which is all that we want, so that we can assault command sync and then do an air combo on him to kill. But because I did that assault command, I was slow getting to the ground again, which means I was slow doing the second assault command, which means that Kronos was able to get away before I could finish the air combo. And now we have more downtime, timed section where we have to wait for voice lines to run out.
That's an order. Listen to me. Hey, dismiss your
I don't want to hurt Olive's feelings. I love Olive.
I've revoked your authority over them. Acting on your own like this. Not like you. What's gotten into you, Akira? These
Oh, the 7R references. So this is, again, big downtime. It's a great time for donations for a marathon. That's for sure.
those
Because we just have to wait through 3 sections of mandatory dialogue.
Now be quick about it.
Yes.
I can't. Sir, there's no proof anything they've done is treason.
So you've turned too. I should have known. Consider yourself relieved of your duties. Effective immediately. The Ravens will deal with you as well. But there's something I'd like to show you first. Consider this my parting gift.
Akira.
I can't get a read on his vitals. He's...
No! Doctor! What are you doing?
It's nothing to be concerned about, Brenda. Pawns go back in the box when they're captured, after all.
But yeah, this is getting close to the end of the run, for sure. How many minutes left? 17 minutes? Just about.
No way.
Uh,
There's no way. What good could this possibly
but
be?
the rest of the run, after we get out of this, like, downtime, there's one other section of downtime, and then after that, it's just, boom, straight on through. Lots of combat, lots of cool fights, some good stuff.
That's it. Akira's doing exactly what you did before.
So now, like we did at the end of the previous file, Akira is
From the Legion.
fusing with his Legion,
Or maybe I should
and we have to fight him
when a Legion
to
is
stop
in the
him
Legion,
so that he doesn't
they
kill
synchronize.
everybody.
It's like they're two
Ah.
parts of one body.
And this also unlocks a new tool for us called Fusion. So like we did at the end of
So the Legion
the previous file,
Jonas's body.
we are able to fuse with our Legion, but we can actually control it this time.
This may be a bad time to bring it up, but after this happened to you, I did some poking around. And I noticed
And
you've got the same
that's
cells
something that we're
Legion
going to use another 2 times in the run.
I knew it might
Unfortunately, we get it like super late, so there's not really much time for us to do it, but there are 2 times in File 11 that we get to do it.
You might be able to fuse with your Legion again. On purpose this time. And hopefully control it. Push your Legion sync rate to the limit and not even death could stop you.
Wait, how do you know whether they'll get back to normal?
Beast shot incoming? Never.
I do know that Akira's gonna kill us all if we
So then
don't
here,
destroy it.
on this voice line,
It's a long
I
shot,
power
but
charge
it's the
in
only
Fishy
shot
Water because those boosts actually do carry over into Fusion, which is great. And then we just want to combo Akira.
You're in complete
And we do a thing called finisher canceling. So before we do the finisher of our combo, we dodge to start another combo because it's faster than doing the finisher. Which that was not a bad Akira at all. And then here, you're going into File 11. If you're looking for a long game, I'd go for a Persona rather than Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's very good, and it's worth 20 IMO. It's just not very long. Those 10 seconds of Dark Hero are great. Really good. That's another reason why I play female, because we get the better version of Dark Hero. Male Dark Hero is like... Ugh. Ugh, yuck. Not good.
Brenda hooked me up with a floor
Pretty
map,
bad.
so I can handle navigation.
I'll be right on Beast here. We're back in the ARI here. This is the final section of the game.
It's quiet in there. Too quiet.
And we hit an elevator here, and this elevator is actually just timed. We're just waiting for voice lines to run out again. Fertile Edge runs when? I don't know. I don't know if I actually will do more. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing on stream for the next week or so. Week, 2 weeks. We'll see.
You saw them. The clones. What kind of person would
I know some of it's gonna be 7R learning,
Akira.
but
whatever
I don't want my entire stream to just be 7R learning, because I don't feel like that's very fun to watch. And I'm gonna want to do a lot of that offline anyways. So I don't know what I'm gonna be doing. I don't think so, no. The specs look pretty low. You can check the recommended specs on Steam, but I'm pretty sure that they're relatively low. And there's also, it seems like there's good, a good amount of graphics options as well for a lower end computer that you can change stuff. So I'd imagine it would run fine. So here, I power charge and fishy water before the fight, and then I round sword going into this. And then we're just doing baton combos, because the baton combos with the sinks hit super hard, as you can imagine. I try to target the enemies that are closest to Akira, because it sucks having enemies in the back, like over by Akira, when other enemies are coming in from the other side. And then here, I restock Sweet Peach soups, and fishy waters. The clones are very annoying. And then here, I power charge, fishy water. I'm on Gladius as well. I do one hit with Gladius here. I pull up round sword on Sword Legion, and then do baton combos with the sinks on these enemies. And then I use Gladius hits to kill this last one, and I saw that it was going for a swing, so I perfect dodged and attacked it. And then switch back to Beast. There's a thing you can do here called Beast Shot that Zeno found. It's a very, very small time save, and I don't go for it because I don't think it's worth it, because I'm bad at it. So basically what you can do is you can run to the corner of the room and do an assault command and shoot a projectile with Beast that goes through the wall to hit that button. I don't do it because it's very hard to aim, and it makes more sense to me to do Arrow Legion. I don't know what happened with the game there where it did that slowdown. I've never seen that before today, but it messed up my chain bind here. I swear I'm like not seeing things. I hope other people saw that as well. But it was like really weird where the game just like super lagged going into Arc. And it ruined my chain bind that I tried to do at the start there. But what I try to do there is chain bind, power charge, fishy water, and then do 4 Gladius hits in a gun combo. This setup for wall skips is very important. It skips all 3 walls. The starting position on that is very difficult to like get a grasp of. It's something that you have to practice quite a bit. But the chain jump there, the first chain jump that we do gets interrupted by the wall coming out, and then you can just mash another one immediately. And then after you do that chain jump, you can immediately do another one to get past the last wall, which is nice. I do arm dashes now at the start of Hall of Terror if I have charge, and then switch to Beast afterwards. You want to make sure that you don't get too close to the walls. If you do, then you can end up like getting slowed down, and the wall behind you ends up catching up with you, and you die, and you're very sad, and it's sad, and you want to die, and it's bad. I've lost runs to that. I wanted to power charge and fishy water before the fight. Unfortunately, I ran too far in. The reason why you want to do it before the fight is because, as you can see, these enemies really like to run up and punch you in the face. So if you power charge and fishy water before the fight, you can immediately mash out fusion as the game fades into this section. And then here it's Ravens. The most important thing here is target switching properly. To target good Ravens and to switch in a way so that you can be maximizing the amount of damage that you get out of your fusion there. And then restock fishy waters. And now we go into another elevator. And this one isn't timed. This one actually has a fight. So I switched to sword. And here I power charge, Spicy Cobra, and then do gunshots here. And I like pre-fire a little bit so that I can get to the sink faster. Again, being able to effectively target switch here so that you don't get the finish off prompt is always good. And then after I kill that, I switch to Beast to power charge again, switch back to Sword, and target this big girl in the middle because she puts up a shield on herself and you don't want to see that. If she does do that, you can take it out with either Arm Legion punches or Send Legion with Axe. And then after that Chimera is dead, I power charge, Spicy, and Round Sword. And then I want to target the large slimes there because the little ones die to either like the stray hits of the sink or Round Sword for the most part, outside of like one that'll run into the corner. And by targeting the big ones, you're able to not get the finish off prompts for the little ones, which is nice. And then here for Scylla, I Chainbind, dodge roll to get behind her, power charge, hit her with Gladius and Round Sword, and then switch to Baton and do the full Baton combo with the sinks. And then she dies to Round Sword after that. And now, switch to Beast for movement here.
Look, over there. We better go too.
And I power charge, Fishy Water, and switch to Sword Legion before the fight so that at the start here, I can just go into Round Sword and do a Baton combo on Akira. And if the Baton combo sinks hit, it knocks Akira over. Somehow he just like got up really early. So instead of doing the Gladius combo I would normally do, I switched back to Baton. But that was a really good fight. And then I Chainbind Beast Legion, Power Charge, do 2 hits with Gladius, Round Sword here. And I see that Arm Legion did the black hole, so I target switch to Arm Legion because I know that I'm going to get pulled towards him anyways. And then I see that he's doing the thing where he like punches the ground a lot, so I wanted to kill him before he could start that. Beast Legion unfortunately hit me with an uppercut there, which kind of sucks. I did something uncharacteristic here, which is I went for Arrow Legion here instead of the end. Normally I would never go for this. It was because of how that first wave ended up. But I want to power charge Arm. I ended up getting a perfect dodge sync when I tried to switch to Beast to power charge and throw another Fishy Water. And then I howled here, and I switched to Sword. And what I was aiming for here was an Assault Command sync and then an air combo to kill Axe Legion. But he ended up hovering above me, so I like couldn't get the combo to connect. So these last two guys were actually really weird. They weren't bad per se, they were just very weird. And then I saw that Sword was about to die, so I switched to Gun to get that last shot off on him. And now we're going into the end. 2 fights left. Very close. Run's almost over. So now we have Noah. And Noah is a big, gigantic, giant guy who's big and giant and scary. And he likes to punch us. What I'm doing here is a delay sync. So that's, you hit ZR, wait a split second, then hit ZR again. And then you're able to get 2 syncs off that with Sword Legion if you're doing it with Baton. And the reason that I'm doing it is because my fusion bar here on the top left, where it says charging, that increases every time that you do a sync. And I want that to be like just above the end of the H or like right at the start of the A to make sure that I end up getting fusion for Final Noah Prime. I did it a little bit more than I needed to here because I wanted to play it super safe, because now that I'm doing a Sweet Peach soup for Final Noah Prime, I really don't want to go into Final Noah Prime without having fusion, because it makes the end of that so much worse without fusion. Tom, I hope all of that goes all right. And I hope being with family is good as well. And then we also do arm dashes across all of these platforms. So Cap brought up the fact that every time that you do a chain jump right, it slows the game down. And here we can do arm dashes instead of chain jumping, which saves fractions of a second. On those first 3 platforms, which I didn't mention because I was talking about charge, it's actually faster to just fall abuse than to do the platforming. It's just that last section that we actually have to do the platforming for. Love you, Tom. And then here, I power charge, Sweet Peach Soup, Round Sword, and then do a slide up to Noah Core and call my Legion, and do a full baton combo. And because of the armor that we get from doing baton syncs, we're able to just armor through that first attack from Core, dodge roll after the sync, and do another full baton combo. And then again, do the same thing here. Core basically just goes down in 4 full baton combos. And then here, I power charge, do another full baton combo. I ended up whiffing a few hits here, so Core ended up living with like a very, very small sliver of HP, and I needed 1 more hit. And now we go into Noah Prime, the final boss. So Noah Prime is a very difficult fight. It's a potentially lethal fight. I've had runs die, both like my character fully dying here, but also just in terms of time loss here. So I send my Legion forward in Round Sword, drink a fishy water, and then change up to my Legion, and I power charge here, and I go for Gladius hits on his back. And unfortunately here, I wasn't able to get blindside damage on him with this baton sync like I would have. But it didn't really matter because the opening was very, very good. And then here, I send my Legion forward and Howl to stun him, power charge, accidentally pull out the camera because I'm dumb. Assault command sync Noah to get into the air as he's paralyzed, and I take a huge gamble here with going for Gladius hits. Because that almost got my Legion killed, and it almost did, like, that laser hits really, really hard. Going in on that attack without using Arm Legion is actually a huge risk. But I wanted to go for it because I knew the pace that I was on, and I thought that the gamble was worth it. And now here we're into Final Noah Prime. Power Charge, Sweet Peach Soup, and go straight into Fusion. And then here I'm mashing ZR to get 2 hits out on Noah Prime. So then I can do projectiles. If you hold L and hit ZR, you do projectiles instead of the normal combo. So we can do projectiles to knock Final Noah Prime out of the air. And then, again, just canceling the finisher with dodges to kill. And then as this final cinematic plays out, I'm just mashing ZR the entire time. So that all of these syncs that we have to do in order to finish the run come out as soon as they can. And that is just about it. That's the last fight in the run. The timing ends when we pick this final dialogue option as we come up to the end here. But basically, once you've killed Noah Prime, it's when you hit A at the end there, it's like 58 seconds from there is when your end time is, just about. So now we have to take this walk to get up to Noah Prime, and then the game asks, like, Akira talks to you, and timing ends as you select an option there. And that's the run. It's a very, very, very cool action game. The whole dynamic of controlling both your character and the Legion together is pretty interesting. It leads to a lot of cool combat opportunities as well, which is pretty great. And there's a lot of cool movement opportunities as well as a result of it. A lot of cool skips, a lot of cool boss fights, a lot of technical fights. It's very hard to go fast in this game as well. There's a lot of hard sections, especially endgame. You can see now on my splits, it just switched from comparing against my goal splits to comparing against PB. This was a PB by 34. It's the first 241. And it was a pretty good run outside of File 4, Kelaino, and File 9. And that is it. Thank you for watching. I hope that this is a good resource for anybody who's looking to learn the run. And it'll also be a good video for marathon submissions as well. I feel like it did a good job of describing the run and everything that goes into it. And hopefully it'll be a good resource for people looking to improve their times as well.